Okay, if we can settle down, everyone. Aloha pumiana kako. We're about to start. We'll be starting live in 30 seconds, 29, 28, 27, 26. Oh, wow, you guys was quiet before you even hit 10. 19, 18. 10, 9, 8. Aloha pumehana kako. The April 22nd, 2026 Neighborhood Board meeting number 34 is called to order. Welcome to our Makakilo Kapolei Honokai Hale Community Forum. My name is Anthony Makana Paris, and I serve as your board chair. We are holding a hybrid meeting and have community members online via WebEx and in person at Kapolei Hale's conference rooms A and B. Order and decorum. If you wish to speak tonight, please raise your virtual hand if online or your actual hand in person and let the presiding officer recognize you before speaking. We ask that you kindly introduce yourself and only address your comments to the chair. Tonight, we are joined by our temporary neighborhood board assistant, Melissa Herbo. And we wanted to mahalo Jeffrey Jones for his dedicated service and wish him well on the next chapter of his adventure in life. So please join me in welcoming Melissa and congratulating Jeffrey. For every agenda item this evening, speakers will have up to 3 minutes, and we will keep time. Those giving reports this evening have up to 10. Presentation materials are available in the meeting's board packet, which is available on our Google Drive. Please remember to silence any and all electronic devices and keep yourself muted when you're not talking if you're joining us via WebEx. Tonight, we have a 45-minute presentation and Q&A session with the Department of Environmental Services on the proposed Makakilo landfill. After the department's presentation, please kindly keep questions focused on the items that the department can answer. When Q&A ends, the board will be asked to take up the resolution calling on the mayor to keep his promise, no new landfills in West Oahu. This is the place and time that everyone can share your mana'o, your thoughts about the presentation and the actions under consideration by the board this evening on what they're proposing to do in our community. To move efficiently, I will first call those who submitted written testimonies and then those who signed up in person or notified our neighborhood board assistant online. And finally, we'll call for an open round of public comments before the board begins our deliberations. Remember, this is our community forum. So please engage with the spirit of aloha, recognizing that we are neighbors. He aloha, he alo, we'll speak with each other with respect, but feel free to passionately advocate and vigorously express yourself. And let's honor each other by keeping to the allotted times for speaking and collectively finish our forum in a timely manner. So at this time, Haya Ulu and Ohana, are there any procedural questions? Okay. Everybody know how to participate. Okay, Makaukau Holomua. And with that, I ask our neighborhood board assistant to call the roll.
Member Bossler? Not here at the moment. Member Dudley? Thank you. Member England? Thank you. Member Ferreira? Thank you. Member Kahele? Thank you. Member Lidstone? Thank you. Member Medeiros? Thank you. Member Ta'ala? see. Not here at the moment, and Chair Paris. There you have 7 members present, quorum established.
Mahalo, we have quorum and we will be moving forward. For those that are joining us now, please know that you're welcome to sign up for testimony when you enter. Please feel free to pick up a copy of the draft resolution that the board is actually going to discuss this evening, so you can speak directly to the position points that we will be asking our government to actually respond to. And make sure you get warm and cozy next to your neighbors, because the city didn't give us enough space for this evening, but we make do with what we get. With that, let's do our reports. And I ask if there's a Honolulu Fire Department representative still with us. Seeing none, I just wanted to notify the community. The reason why they're not here is because they had an emergency call, so they're putting out fire by somebody's house or somebody right now. Oh, the kids came back. They will put out the fire. Right on. Good job. Come on down. Yep. Mahalo.
Aloha, folks. My name is Captain Brandon Stevens with the East Kapolei Fire Station. I'm going to read off the stats for March that you guys had in you guys' neighborhood board geographical area. So for fires, we had 3 structure fires, 1 wildland fire, 9 rubbish fires, and 43 activated alarms with no fire present. For emergencies, we had 176 medical emergencies, 1 motor vehicle collision involving a pedestrian, 1 motor vehicle crash and collision, 2 ocean rescues, and 3 hazardous materials incidents. The fire safety tip for the month is dealing with evacuation planning. So ensure you have an emergency preparedness plan in place for situations like environmental emergencies, fires, or natural disasters. Familiarize yourself with at least 2 escape routes from your home and plan an evacuation path if you must leave your neighborhood due to an emergency. For more information, visit fire.honolulu.gov. Here are some tips. Leave early to avoid getting trapped by a fire, smoke, or traffic delays. Have a predetermined meeting place like a trusted neighbor or relative's home. A low-risk area as a shelter, evacuation center. Stay informed, sign up for notifications at hnlalert.gov, official media sources, and other vetted sources. Bring your go bag with essential items for your family and pets. This is a subset of your all hazards 14-day disaster supply kit. For more information and printable checklist, you can visit honolulu.gov/dem/build-a-kit. If you guys have any questions, you can email hfdnhb@honolulu.gov.
Mahalo. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the board members? Any questions or comments or concerns from the community at large? Okay, if you come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and ask your question, please.
My name's Wendy Nelson. I live in Makakilo. My question is regarding, you said evacuation route. So we should have an evacuation route in mind where we need to go in the event of an emergency. So how does that play into Makakilo with only 1 road in and 1 road out? If there's a fire, let's say halfway up the hill, where are the residents at the top of the hill supposed to go without the Makakilo option?
Mahalo for your question.
No, that's a good question. Some neighborhoods are going to have that situation where you only have 1 access route. If you see any signs of fire or any impeding danger, leave early because you know there's going to be traffic on the roads. That's the most that we can do. We can have maybe call the police department to assist with traffic control in the area as a possibility also.
Mahalo, and the chair would like to note that that issue is on the docket for the mayor's representative to actually come back and engage with the board and the community about, simply because we've been asking for the completion of Makakilo Drive now for 20 plus years, right? And that there's been a stall with the emergency access road with Grace Pacific. So we go up there and you stuck, like you stuck. If the fire come, you stuck. So it's not a good situation. Mahalo.
Was it Kurt Vivella, Eva Beach? My question is, two, the landfill that we have now at Waimanalo, I think it was on fire for a long time. Do you guys have the right equipment in case there is a fire up there to knowing what kind of hazardous waste and materials that is at the landfill? Do you guys have the equipment to actually fight one of those fires if the thing do blow up and burn?
That's a really good question, and I'll probably get more information from our administration on that. But just for me, there's a lot of hazards in a landfill, and you don't really know what the hazards are. There could be propane tanks in there, dangerous goods. We do have a hazardous materials company that can come out and assess the conditions. We're only going to put out basic rubbish that's on fire. If we do see hazards in the process of putting out the fire, we're going to evacuate, leave some distance, and let it burn at that point, because we don't want to sacrifice any of us or the public.
Mahalo.
The reason why I say this is because right now, all our families that live in Makakilo, I know we're gonna talk about this new landfill.
Right.
If we do not know, and if we can, you're gonna let them burn, and you, of course, we don't want nobody to get hurt from the fire department. But is there anybody else thinking that? Because I remember when I was in the city, Waimanalo Gulch was burning for 5 years underneath. They couldn't pull it out, so they just let them burn. Again, the lady that just got up, her concern is Makakilo has one way in, one way out. We have a big fire at the landfill or the new landfill. How are these guys gonna get out of Dodge? Even if you leave early, you cannot. So again, let's think about that.
Mahalo for raising the concerns and appreciate the response from Honolulu Fire Department that they'll get back to us on what they can tell us about hazardous fires, including those at landfills. Okay, aloha, Auntie Kum, you have a question for the Honolulu Fire Department? Come on up.
Jackie Zahn. I am involved with Makakilo for over 50 years. I've been involved in seeing these fires come in the Gulch. I seen them where you were talking about fires where they couldn't get them put out. And we've been working with the fire department before where they were more strict and they were making sure homeowners knew how to protect. And they had like 30 feet it used to be. But it's a real problem. I can tell you just from when they had the problem, when we had bad weather, it doesn't matter, disasters. Trying to come from Eva Beach, just when I was taking my dogs for a thing, and then all of a sudden we had an emergency, I couldn't even get home to my own house in Makakilo. So that's a problem because I have to take care of my pets and family and friends too. And I was stuck in traffic like everybody else. It's not safe. That's all I'm saying. We just need another way out, and we need to tell the people how to fix problems to help you out with if they live on the perimeter, to make them. Don't say, oh, it's okay, the grass is 6 feet tall or 5 feet. Have a rule and continue to make sure we hold them accountable.
Mahalo. So to summarize what I heard from Auntie's question was how can we help you ensure you get the right equipment to be able to take care of our ohana that's already impacted by fires at a landfill? So.
Sorry. As far as that question goes, to protect your guys' selves and you guys' homes, especially if you live on the perimeters, like I understand you're saying, make sure your brush is clear in the back of your house so the brush fires don't come all the way up to your house and endanger your house if that's possible. Keep flammables away from your house, especially if you live on the perimeter. It may come up and impinge on your house. You don't want to let anything in your yard get on fire. Do a good yard work and cut down, your grass and trees in your yard. And those are some suggestions.
Mahalo. So clear the brush around your yard. And if you need kokua, please reach out to your neighbors or to us at the neighborhood board, and we can see about making sure we get somebody to help you do that. Also, yes, Auntie, you have a follow-up?
I just want to clarify because I don't really understand.
Sure. Come to the microphone.
Jackie's on.
No worry,
I
you get
just-
45 seconds left with this
I'm
topic.
just going to say real quick, that Polyhua community is 3,682 members. There are renters up there. There's a ranch up there. There's a lot of easements that we inherited up there, and nobody wants to go around and enforce the rules. That's the problem. The HOAs need help to make rules to help us enforce the rules. And I don't care if they have to have more people for permits or whatever, to get things done, but that's what the problem is.
So mahalo for raising that concern regarding fire and disaster safety, that there is complication because of the easements, multiple ownership and jurisdictions, overlapping jurisdictions up in that particular area. So we'll make note of that and see what we can do to kokua as we move forward. Any other questions for Honolulu Fire Department, please?
Hi, aloha, Chair, members, Patty Kahana Mokuteruya. My question is hunchbacking on Senator Pafela's concerns were on the fire. But my question is if HFD is prepared with the Waimanalo gouge on any danger when it comes to the asbestos, and are you trained and are your department trained to handle asbestos if some emergency would happen at the gouge? Asbestos was moved in 2021 to the Waimanalo gouge right now. And so my concern is your department and staff trained to handle any disaster should asbestos be released into the air or into the community is like the fire hazard? Thank you.
That's a great question. So we do have a hazardous materials unit. We'll check with them with their capabilities as far as asbestos on fire. It's a hazardous situation that we wouldn't want to expose our personnel to. But I'll get you more information and a solid answer on that.
Mahalo, really appreciate that. Any further questions, comments, or concerns for HFD? Okay, seeing none, mahalo nui loa for your good work of putting out that fire and getting back to us. And now let's welcome up the Honolulu Police Department.
Good evening, Corporal Corey Makino, District 8 Community Policing Team. Online is also Sergeant Fumi Moroka. The statistics for the month of March for the Kapolei area, motor vehicle thefts, we had 26 in our district, 9 in Kapolei. Burglaries was 15 for the district, 4 in Kapolei. Thefts was 112 in the district and 57 in Kapolei. Unauthorized entry into motor vehicle, we had 28 in the district and 20 was in Kapolei. Traffic statistics, we have speeding citations, 47 was issued, moving violations, 734, parking violations was 66. Total citations issued was 1,037. Total calls for service was in the district was 8,473, and total calls in the Kapolei area was 2,834. And any questions, comments, or concerns?
Mahalo for the report. Board members, any questions, comments, or concerns? Chair recognizes Board Member Mick Ferrera.
Yeah, hi. I've been getting more and more calls and questions about the rather large and getting larger homeless population down by the campground down in Barbers Point. And there's also a lot of dumping going on kind of over by where the track is supposed to be going in. So I told them I would ask about what kind of enforcement is going on there. There is no services out here in this direction for homeless, and it seems like when the department was booking people down here at Kapolei and releasing them, that a lot of them stayed. And so I was wondering if there was any way that they be sent back to town where IHS and other services could be had. Thank you.
As far as the Barbers Point area, we do have some scheduled cleanups in the area. Some of them is private, so we are in cooperation with the owners of the property. Do you have a particular area that you was talking about?
Well, it's before you get to the campground, and actually part of the campground, they've kind of taken it over and have made it kind of a home, kind of across from where the little rental areas are. But it's made it where residents are not wanting to camp there anymore because it's being taken over. And then as you're driving along the corridor there where the signs are saying that the property's been turned over to city county, there's a rather large encampment there by where some of the old revetments are. So, and we've noticed it and getting larger. In fact, that was the area that the one individual had kidnapped the two children and the adult, and they jumped out of the pickup truck, and he actually went to jail. So there's a lot of that going on down there. And since they've cleaned up the brush and everything, it's gotten better. But there's people that have just set up a camp there along the bend. It's fairly obvious right off the street. So I'm getting a lot of questions about that. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, hi,
Yeah, sorry.
sorry, Sergeant Moroka online. So I think you're talking about the Nimitz Beach area, or around there. We have one scheduled. I was trying to pull up the calendar to let you know what the date was, but it's not opening up quickly enough. So I know that there is one coming up in that area, and we do know that it's getting crowded with homeless over there, and we are going to be working with facility maintenance and city and county parks to clear it out, and we'll have outreach coming with us to try and get them into shelters and housing. So yeah, just wanted to let you know that we are aware of it and we're working on it.
Are
Thank you.
you aware of where the cutoff is for the jurisdiction for HPD and then where the Navy takes over? I know
Yeah.
it's somewhere along the Nimitz Beach
We have a
line.
map of the whole area. There's other the property is divided into DHHL, HCDA, the US government, and another is HCDA. But yeah, it's all divided up. We have a map of the area and where the jurisdictions are, and they usually come out with us if we need to go into their area. So they need to work with us in order to clean up every specific area. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mahalo. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns from the board? Any comments, questions, or concerns from the community at large?
Aloha. Aloha, Chair and board members. I am Barbie Hatcher, and I'm here tonight on behalf of my aunt, Kathleen Suapaya. For context, I first raised this issue at the January Neighborhood Board meeting. My apologies, life happened and I was unable to attend the last two meetings. This matter involves Representative Kalani Souza for District 43, installing campaign signage onto my auntie's property on her wooden fence with screws without permission and causing damage to her property. The unauthorized signs installed by Representative Kalani Souza were installed back in December 2025. My initial complaint was sent on January 18th. Now over 90 days, there has been no significant response, no clear accountability, and no indication that this matter is being properly reviewed. I'm here today because the issue remains unresolved. I have a direct question for HPD. What is the process after a police report is documented?
Once the report is documented, it usually gets forwarded to the detail that would be handling it. Do you know what kind of case that was generated?
I
Or
don't
what type
know.
of, yeah.
And that's one of my follow-up questions. Who determines if it's property damage, trespass? How does this work?
Well, usually the patrol officer initially would investigate the scene. he will make the determination of the initial classification. He'll generate the initial report, and from there, the reports would get forwarded to the detail responsible, whether it would be the misdemeanor follow-up section or will get forwarded to the burglary theft detail. So it all depends what type of report was initiated in the beginning.
Okay, so would anyone from HPD follow up with my auntie, or is that determined based on my auntie following up with HPD?
Yeah, if your auntie was the one that generated the report, she can follow up with the report number.
So
your
in other
contact-
words, does that mean nothing will happen if she does not follow up?
Well, I can forward it to them, but then yeah, if she would be the one to have to, because she'll be the one that initiated the case. She'll be the one to follow up and to see where the case has gone.
Okay, would someone who would be able to follow up at the next meeting on the police report number?
Do you have
I
the
have
Do you have
report
the
number?
report number?
26-022931.
Sorry, 26-931.
022931.
Okay, I'll forward this to the command and see what we can do.
Okay, and I just want to understand the process and, does it meet a certain criteria? Do we need
May I
to go
remind
further?
the community member that you're supposed to be addressing questions
sorry,
to the chair.
Okay,
Right.
sorry, Chair.
Yeah, no worries. So,
Since
because,
I was asking him the question, I thought I looked at him.
yeah, no worries. You can ask the question, just reminding, because we're gonna get used to this, right? Because we're gonna like talk to each other and then we're going fast and gonna get heated maybe, so let's practice
I just
now.
wanted to ask the question, what does this police report fall under as far as what criteria it meets for Hawaii law? So I understand the process, because my auntie is like 76 years old, so I'm here to help her.
Mahalo. So if we can have HPD do the response.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
look into it and then maybe we can have somebody contact you guys, reach out to you. I'll have to run the report to see what case was made first.
Okay.
I don't have that
appreciate it.
information right now. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Thank
And
you.
if you could kindly come around and then give your contact information to a neighborhood board assistant. You can give it to our community HPD officers, and then we can make sure that we follow up on our end. Thank you. Any further questions for HPD?
Chair, I have an inquiry for HPD, actually.
Go right ahead.
I have the same inquiry, actually. Hi, everybody. I'm State Representative Kanani Souza. I'm actually here in my official capacity this evening. What was just discussed has to do with apparently campaign matters. And there has obviously been a smear campaign launched against me. I did report the same exact matter to the Honolulu Police Department, also made a police report for damaged banners. I received permission from everybody that I put banners on their fences. And just so happened, coincidentally, the individual that just spoke is a part of the campaign team of my opponent. That is what was turned over to the Neighborhood Board Commission. This has been reported. We cannot be using our neighborhood board meetings to do campaigning for certain individuals. And so this has been reported to the Neighborhood Board Commission. This has been reported to the Honolulu Police Department. And thank you, Chair. But I think that these matters should not be discussed at neighborhood board meetings. Mahalo.
Okay. Mahalo for the concern that was raised. Okay. No, you don't. Okay. Yes. Question for HPD.
Ai. O wau ka puakili I koa ka mai no ka aina ho o pula pula ka āpāpā au. I do have a question. So I don't know why we can't announce a pilikia, because there's a lot of campaign signs that are still out. So I guess to HPD, if you folks could also let us know what is the window, even though that's not your kuleana, but what is the window of campaign signs to be up? Is it okay to have it 24/7, 365 days a year? Or is there a period of time in which we should expect them? So I would raise that just generally regardless of who it is. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Okay. Go right ahead, HPD, regarding the question, if you know.
Yeah. As far as any banners or anything like that, if it's on private property, then the private property owner has the right to remove it or leave it up as long as they want, as far as I know. And I did look up that report number. It looks like the individual that made the report on that one, they just wanted to document the fact that the banner was on there without her permission, and she didn't want to pursue anything. So this is just a report to document facts. Yeah. So it's not a criminal matter at this point, unless she changes her mind and makes another report. Just wanted to bring that up. To follow
Mahalo
up.
for bringing clarity for that particular issue, which we just heard is that regarding the campaign materials up on Auntie's fence. She did document it without her permission, according to HPD, but it is not a criminal or civil matter because Auntie is not actually pursuing the matter. So maybe Auntie will in the future, but that's not our kuleana until they bring it here. Because our kuleana and our kulana is we have the authority to air the concerns. It's appropriate to talk about what is appropriate or not in our community. But we don't have the jurisdiction to find fault. We cannot rule on whether or not somebody is actually in compliance with the law or not. And to the matter that Representative Souza brought up earlier, even though she didn't ask a question to HPD, she brought up a concern about procedure, which is appropriate. If you get questions about how we do stuff, totally appropriate for ask. And if you don't know even what your question is, but you get one inkling, you just come up and be like, Chair, I don't know, but my mouth's still turning and I need your help or express this and I can help you. Okay? Because this is our community forum. And okay, awesome. Okay, now Chair recognize Auntie Johnny May Perry online.
Thank you, Chair Johnny May Perry. Regarding campaign sign, this FYI, 45 days before election is a state law, but not enforced. Thank you.
Mahalo for Auntie doing a quick search for us and provided the 45-day before,
Mr. Chair.
but non-enforced. Okay. Any other questions for HPD? The Chair recognizes Board Member Dr. Keone Dudley.
Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend that we move on to the topic that is being discussed tonight. We have so many people standing, and if we could put everything else later after the discussion, I think it would be a real service to the community.
Mahalo, Dr. Dudley, for that. And that is the chair's inclination. Without objection, we will move the presentation up and call for testimony. However, it is not in the kulana, the authority of the board to bypass Honolulu Fire Department or Honolulu Police Department, because by city ordinance, they have to speak first. Okay. So, but as Dr. Dudley said, we're going to push everything else up so that everybody can get to it. Okay, so final questions, concerns, or mana'o for HPD? Hearing none. Now, the chair would like to beg the board, without objection, that we move the presentation of ENV, currently 4A PIM revision application for Makakilo's landfill, and resolution 6A, calling on the mayor to keep his promise, no new landfills in West Oahu, to current business. It's like, I'm asking without objection. Like, and the public is welcome to testify on my request. Anybody wishing to testify, got to do it 1, 2, 3. Okay, I give you your chance. All this is for, you get to testify on everything we do, including procedurally moving things up. Now, it was done without objection, so no discussion from the board. Any objection? Hearing none, the chair calls it by unanimous consent. So now We would like to welcome up Department of Environmental Services for the PIM revision application for Makakilo Hills landfill presentation.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Paris, board members, members of the public. My name is Roger Babcock. I'm the director of the Department of Environmental Services for the city. We take care of all the sanitation for the city. So that means wastewater and rubbish. So when you flush your toilet, you can be assured that we're safely collecting it, treating it, and disposing it or recycling it. And the same is true with when you put out your carts for your refuse. This does take about 1,200 people working 7 days a week to make sure that this all happens. So tonight we are talking about the next step in what's going to happen with the city's landfill. And so first we'll Josh Nagashima, our chief of our refuse division, is going to show some slides. He'll go through those, and then we'll be happy to answer questions and hear comments. So I'm going to let Josh, turn it over to Josh now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chair Board, for having us here. I'm happy to see everyone out here to talk about this important topic. And we're very happy because we would like to get as many comments as possible regarding this PIM revision. So thank you for coming. Thank you for the extra time as well for the presentation. You could go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk about how we handle waste very briefly on Oahu. Then I'm going to talk about our existing landfill, Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill, give you kind of a status update on that landfill. Then I'll talk about the steps that we took for the future landfill siting to lead us up to where we are today. And then I'll talk about more recent developments that led to the naming of Makaiva as the next site. Then I'll talk about, I'll talk about the PIM revision application. This is the current step in the process, what we're here to present about today, and your official way to make public comments toward the PIM revision application. And then the next steps that we're going to take along the way. There's going to be a number of steps that we're going to ask for public comment along the way. So you'll have another chance to speak to us and provide comments. And then I'll also talk about host community benefits, which are benefits that would be provided to the host of the next landfill, host community of the next landfill. You can go to the next slide now. So as far as waste management on Oahu, Oahu generates about 1.2 million tons of municipal solid waste every year, and 500,000 tons of construction and demolition waste annually. So when you think about this, remember, a ton is 2,000 pounds. So just think about how much trash that is that's generated by all of us in the community. The city collects about half of that waste. Mostly what the city does is it collects residential collection. You'll know, but the cart system is what we collect. So blue, gray, green, and blue, carts. We still do some manual collection, some front loader service at multifamilies and businesses. And we do some cart collection at businesses as well. About 700,000 tons of that waste goes to H-Power every year on a good year. You may have heard that H-Power has been having a little bit of issues lately, so we've been sending a little bit more waste to Waimanalo Gulch, but we're trying to improve H-Power and trying to reduce what's going to landfill. What's required to go to landfill right now is about 250,000 tons of ash, bypass, and recycling residue that's not suitable for H-Power. So the ash comes from H-Power, whatever burns there becomes ash. It needs to go to landfill. The biggest recycling residue that we get there at the landfill is from recycling cars. So when cars are shredded, vehicles are shredded, the foam, wires, other materials need to go to landfill right now. They can't be burned at H-Power, but we're looking at programs to take that at H-Power as well. Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill, currently the island's only MSW landfill. has capacity to 2031. That may have changed a little bit with the recent disaster, with the flooding that's happened in Wailua. And I can talk a little bit more about that too. PVT landfill is the island's only construction and demolition landfill. That may close in the next 5 years. We've been told various dates, and it keeps getting extended, but the landfill cannot be expanded. So when it closes, that C&D material that would normally go to PVT landfill has to go to the city's municipal solid waste landfill. Next slide, please. So just to give you a visual image of Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill, if you haven't been there, this is Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill in November of 2024. I think when I presented to Nanakuli Maili, I said it was 2023, but looking back at the records, it's actually more recently, November 2024. And then the next slide, if you go to it, is going to be Waimanalo Gulch a few days ago. So you can see, and if you go back and forth, you'll see the difference in where Waimanalo Gulch landfill is now. So we're at the last bench meaning where we're not expanding the landfill, but in our current footprint, we're laying down the liner for the last cell where we're going to put waste in. Next slide. So as far as Waimanalo Gulch goes, we got a special use permit extension in November of 2019. In that extension, so the special use permit allows us to use this ag land as a landfill. And we got an extension to that permit that said basically that we needed to name the Lex landfill by December 31st, 2022. And then that we should close Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill by no later than March 2nd, 2028. And that would be the last day that we would take waste there. Along the way, so we were sort of in the process of looking for the next landfill. Act 73 came and happened. So what Act 73 required was that there be a half-mile buffer between the landfill and residences, schools, and hospitals. So it limited where the landfill could be because we need a half-mile between that and any residences, schools, or hospitals. We put together a landfill advisory committee following Act 73, and that landfill advisory committee rated the sites that we had listed at the time. All the sites in that advisory committee were in the Board of Water Supply no path zone. So they were above what the Board of Water Supply considers drinking water. And so in conclusion, the landfill advisory committee ended up saying, oh, we don't want the landfill over drinking water. BWS did present during these proceedings. So LAC determined that they didn't want the landfill over drinking water, but they did rate the sites. They wanted the city to evaluate sites outside the no-pass zone again, and to seek potentially to modify Act 73 to allow more of those sites to be available. And then consider eminent domain for site acquisition is something that they also recommended. Next slide. So as far as continuing along that path, so we did a supplemental evaluation, including federal lands and the potential to modify Act 73. So in this supplemental evaluation, which is on our website, it tells you a number of sites that we considered and how Act 73 would need to be modified. So from half a mile buffer to a quarter mile buffer or no buffer, if that would open up more sites. So I'll give you the website link at the end, and you can go and look at that report. On December 11, 2024, you might remember that the mayor had a press conference. He named the site in Wahewa on Dole Foods lands as the site of the next landfill, and that was based on the evaluation that the Landfill Advisory Committee had done, even though it was over drinking water. And at that press conference, the mayor identified a 3-point path forward, and I'll show that to you in the next few slides if you go to the next slide. So if you remember, this is the presentation that he gave. You can go to the next slide. These are the 3 paths that he identified. So safe operation of a landfill over the aquifer. We were going to double line this landfill, twice as many protections as a normal landfill over the aquifer to prevent contamination. Landfill was also 800 feet over drinking water. The second path was to successfully amend Act 73 to reduce the buffer zone. As I said, we did the evaluation. We could potentially amend Act 73. And the last one was to extend operations at Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill. So these were the only three paths identified by the mayor. Next slide, please. So if you recall, this is where the location was for the Wahiawa site. But, and if you go to the next slide, on July 1st, 2025, the Hawaii State Legislature passed Act 255, and that prohibited the construction of landfills on Class A agricultural land and also inland of the underground injection control line. So the underground injection control line is a line that identifies underground drinking water sources. So, and that's a state line. They develop it, they use it for injection wells. So putting water back into the land. So with Act 255, the Wahiawa site was blocked and removed from consideration because it was within the underground injection control line, the UIC line. So that eliminated the first path. The city also tried to negotiate with the military, the federal government, to see if we could get some of the federal land that wasn't within those the restrictions. It wasn't restricted, but that failed. We didn't get any of those lands. We also looked into the modification of Act 73, and that was not possible. So that eliminated the second path. So only the third path remains, and that path is expansion of the landfill adjacent to on the Makakilo Hills property for Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill. Next slide, please. So this is a map that's on our website. We have an interactive map. We updated it. I don't know if you saw the old one, but we have a new one. And it shows you all the restrictions that restrict where we can place the landfill. So this is just all of the restrictions on one map, but you can go layer by layer to see how these restrictions are in place. And next slide. So this includes Act 255, Act 73. The only site that remains is the Makakilo Hills site. You can see in this close-up view, Waimanalo Gulch is on the left in yellow, and the Makakilo Hills site, what remains of the properties, is unencumbered in the lighter whitish color. The half-mile buffer is below it toward Honokai, Hale, and Ko'olina. Next slide, please. So this is the image that we have on our website now. You may have seen it advertised with this presentation. This is what we envision the Makakilo landfill space to appear like. So you can see its proximity to Makakilo on the right, Honokai, Hale, and Ko'olina to the south. And then Farrington Highway is also marked there, and Waimanalo Gulch on the left. Next slide, please. So this is something we also wanted to show. So sorry, the animation doesn't work in the PDF, but basically we got a picture from Ko'olina, from one of the hotels there. And this shows you where the Waimanalo Gulch landfill is and how you can see it from that hotel. And if you go to the next slide, this is a rendering of what Makakilo might look like from that same hotel in that same view. So it's not gonna, when we open the landfill, like I described when I was describing Waimanalo Gulch, we open it a cell at a time. So it's not gonna be all open like this, but we wanted to give you a good rendering of how it might look. Next slide. So as far as this PIM and why we're here today, so we're trying to get a PIM designation, actually on these two properties. And what the PIM designates is these, well, I'll go into the SW and the CY, but basically, in order to use city funds on these properties, we need to designate that we're going to use these properties for certain functions. The first one is SW, which is solid waste, a solid waste facility. So in this case, the SW will cover the landfill itself, including construction and demolition waste, ash, and residue. And the CY is a corporation yard symbol. So our collection yards use that symbol. but it's on this property. We want it on this property because we're going to need supporting infrastructure for the landfill. But not only that, we're thinking we want to put pre-processing. So we want to do more recycling. So when we collect C&D, we want to remove the woods. We want to remove the metals, recycle those. And maybe even do a sustainability type complex where we have this removal, more recycling facilities, also potentially education for the public. And with that, we could have a vehicle base yard. So as far as this application goes, so the application is live, the public comment period is open. So we submitted the application to DPP for evaluation, processing, and public comments. I'll give you the website for that too if you want to officially submit public comments. We anticipate from that point on, so it's a 30-day comment period. We're gonna, it has to be heard before the Planning and Zoning Committee of the Honolulu City Council. And we expect that on May 21st and then full council following on June 5th. Yeah, sorry, 3rd, sorry. Okay, next slide. So as far as the next step, so we're in the PIM process right now. And if the PIM goes through next fiscal year, which starts July 1st, we're hoping to acquire the land. So we've already talked to Campbell, who's the owner of the properties. We look to do negotiation on that. And if not, we may have to go through the condemnation process. When we acquire the land or within that process, we're going to do an environmental impact statement. At that time, we'll definitely have more opportunities for public comments. We'll also have to go for a solid waste permit with DOH, Department of Health, and an air permit from DOH as well. On the landfills, there's landfill gas that's produced. We flare it off currently, but we may manage it that way or some other way. We need a permit for that. And then we may need a special use permit similar to Waimanalo Gulch sanitary landfill. We'll have to go for that. And then we'll be doing design and construction along the way. So right now, we're anticipating that the landfill could open as soon as 2033. 2033 is pretty far away, so there's going to be a gap in between. And so in order to fill that gap and be able to accept waste still, one of the things that we're probably going to have to do is extend our stay at the current Waimanalo Gulch from March 2nd, 2028 to when it's full. And like I mentioned earlier, it's anticipated that 2031 is when it would be full. To do that, we would petition to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission would give a recommendation to the Land Use Commission, State Land Use Commission. Planning Commission is a city entity. The Land Use Commission would make a determination. So they would give us a new permit or an extension to the permit. So, but 2031, there's still a gap between 2031 and 2033. So we're looking to fill that gap as well. Potentially, we could be shipping off island during that time, or we could make a temporary landfill site where we would put waste for now, and then we would move it into the landfill when it's open. All right, next slide, please.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
Chair, like that sound over there, it's freaking irritating. What Dr. Chamba do is their presentation. I don't know what the hell is that sound over there, but it's dying. Okay, mahalo. So community members have asked if we could do something about the sound. So that sound is the air conditioning for Kapolei Hale conference rooms A and B. We have put in a request for addressing that 2 years ago, last year, 6 months ago. So we feel your pain. We go through it every time. And the reason why it's loud tonight is because the system is struggling because there's so much people in here. So it usually acts up when there's a lot of people. So take that as a good sign that our community showed up. Okay, Kalamai, sorry about the interruption, but people are having difficulty hearing. So if you could speak closer to the mic, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, yeah, certainly. So this is the last slide. It's about host community benefits. So like I mentioned, the landfill, the host of the next landfill, host community of the next landfill is going to get some benefits established. And this will be funded by a tipping fee increase, whether that's a percentage or a straight dollar amount. And we would have a whole community benefits committee formed for how to spend that money, to determine how to spend that money. That could be formed as early as during the EIS process. So it could be formed as soon as 1 to 2 years. Next slide. So before I take any questions, so I just wanted to point out the new landfill siting website so that I mentioned. So we have a lot of information there, including the interactive map. We also have the website for the official comments for the PIM. So please go there if you'd like to make any official comments, and I have my email there, should you have any questions after we have this discussion here. So I guess last thing I wanted to say is, I hope everybody understands why a landfill is necessary. For me, one example I wanted to give is that my father celebrated his 79th birthday on Friday, and I had him over, we had dinner, and, during that celebration, I wanted to celebrate with him. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted, have the food that he wanted. During that, of course, I used reusable dishes, I recycled the cans, but I didn't have to worry about the trash. And that's where the landfill comes in, right? It's gonna take some of the ash or whatever comes off the trash. And I know you're gonna say, isn't there a technology that can take care of that? And I'll tell you right now, we've done some research and there doesn't appear to be. And then you're gonna say, well, why does it have to be in our community? And so I presented the reasons why. This is where we're leading to, but we're open to discussion. So thank you.
Mahalo nui loa for the presentation and for being here this evening. First off, I would just like to thank ENV for the good work that they're doing. We understand that it is difficult to try and find a new site for hosting a landfill, and it's a contentious issue. But we just want to make sure that we afford you the opportunity to answer the valid questions of our community members and board at this time. So I would like to open up any questions for ENV. And mind you, questions now. Questions, not manao, questions, because we will testify later about share your manao later. Okay. Let's start with board member Carol England.
Chair, I just wanted some clarification when it's towards the end of his presentation.
Yes.
During that gap extension, so 2028 to 2031, he said two things. One was possibly shipping some of the garbage off island. Then he mentioned a new place. I just wanted to know, okay, there's going to be a new place. Why don't you put it over there permanently? So I just kind of wanted to get clarification on that.
Okay, mahalo.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for the questions. So the gap is actually from when the landfill is full, which we anticipate is 2031. 2028 is when the current permit expires for use of the existing landfill. So an extension to the existing permit from 2028 until it's full in 2031 is one thing that's necessary. There is no, what he mentioned in terms of the gap was two options. One is to do shipping. That means when there's no more space at Waimanalo Gulch, we still have waste, 2,200 tons a day coming to us. We need someplace to put that. Two options were mentioned. One is that would be shipped. But again, that would start at some point where you can be able to ship all the waste. Another option that was mentioned was a temporary site. A temporary site would be like what they did on Maui after the line of fires. So they create an actual landfill with a liner and all the other protections that are part of a landfill, but it's not meant to be permanent. So presumably then it could be located somewhere where a permanent landfill is not allowed. So, but it would be temporary. It would be there for a couple of years or however long until the new landfill is operational. Then, like on Maui, all the material that had been there, placed there temporarily, would be moved to the new landfill. So that's what, or hopefully that clears it up, what the question.
Mahalo. Let's now go to Board Member Dr. Dudley.
You know, for years, this board has been saying that there are countries in the world where there is no trash. You know, they can entirely care for it. Could you tell us some things about these countries and how they're doing it and why we can't do the same thing so that we have zero trash?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We're actually not aware of any countries that have actually zero trash. There's a movement towards zero waste and reducing the amount of trash, and we are part of that movement. As Josh mentioned, on an annual basis, there's 1.2 million tons of municipal solid waste generated on the island. He also mentioned that what actually ends up in the landfill in total is around 200,000 tons. So that is 1/6 or about 17%. So of the whole waste stream, more than about 83% ends up not in a landfill. So to get to 100% would mean that everything else would need to be recycled. And theoretically, that's possible. It would require that the ash be recycled. And the city has been looking at that for almost 30 years and has done tests and trials and tried to get permits to do that. But so far, and to this day, we've not been able to get a permit to do that. Other places and other countries have different regulations and different permitting requirements that allow them to, for example, recycle all the ash into roads or other materials, which is not, we've not been able to get approval to do that. There are many other things that can be recycled, and we are working on those things now. Paperboard is the next thing. We recently started the food waste recycling, which is 180,000 tons per year. That can go into compost instead of the H-Power and the landfill. And we continue to look for, other items as well. So that's an ongoing effort. Thanks.
Mahalo. Let's now go to Board Member Sheila Medeiros.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So it looks like Act 73 is that block, right? That brings everything back to here. Because without Act 73, that half-a-mile buffer, if it changed to a quarter, quarry could be the next landfill, correct?
That site would be possible if the buffer was reduced to a quarter mile.
So my question, sorry, Chair, my question is, how much effort from the city and county with the state representatives and senators, was there a discussion and how we can amend that to change it to quarter mile? Because if we leave it at the Act 73 is not amended, West Side is going to be stuck as the perpetual landfill forever. So we need to do something about Act 73. So the question is, how much effort was put by the city and county with the discussion with our state representatives and senators?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would have to say that is unknown to me. It is not discussions that I was involved with. So I guess we'd have to ask the mayor on that.
So to follow up on the previous board member's question regarding Act 73 and the half-mile buffer zone, in your presentation, you said that you may have to use condemnation powers to actually then take the land in Makakilo Hills. So the question is, why can't you use your condemnation powers to take away the residences or other areas that are impacting on the quarry zone in order to actually then site it there? What's prohibiting you from doing that?
Yeah, thanks. So in order to be able to do the condemnation, we have looked at that for the quarry. And the problem is, I believe it was over 250 homes would be required to be condemned. In addition, There is a school, the Les Jardins School. There's also the old Hawaii Pacific University campus, which is now some sort of a health facility. And in addition to the single-family homes, there's a large tower called Hokainani, maybe, the tall one that's over there. So it's a really significant number of properties, would cost hundreds and hundreds of millions. We're not sure exactly what that would cost. And that would be a much more difficult process to condemn that many properties than to condemn one property.
To follow up, then can you also explain why not the same condemnation power is used for HCND quarries further up that's not anywhere near anybody's homes or schools?
Sorry, which property is that? The North Quarry?
Yes, the
Yeah,
north and south.
so the North Quarry, so again, we did look at that as well. So that does involve the school. The school actually is on that side, Les Jardins School, and as well as the health facility is on that side. I don't remember if there's any single-family homes on that side, but there are those properties. The other challenge with the North Quarry is that it's actually a very small site. Two things, there's a lot of excavation needed. We need to excavate something like 20 million cubic yards in order to gain 20 million cubic yards of volume. It looks like there's a lot of space there, but there really isn't. It's a steep mountain with a lot of rock there. So we estimate that would be very, very expensive. And it's also still very small, fitting within the boundaries. It would only have a lifespan of about 8 to 9 years. So it's a very big investment for a very small gain.
Mahalo. Let's now go to Board Member Mick Ferrera.
So I'm sitting here looking at the last time we addressed this. It's an EIS from October of 2007. It appears that the only thing that's changed since then is that Act 73 was ripped out of the equation. So now all of a sudden we're back on the map. I'm wondering if we have a quarry on this side that's been here for 50 years. What keeps us from condemning the Grace Pacific Quarry and using that as a landfill right next to the freeway, away from homes, so to speak? And I don't know what could change.
So there is the half-mile buffer. So there are a lot of residential zoned properties there in that development. So that is not a possibility. And just to clarify, Act 73 was in 2020. That's the one with the buffer. There were still a lot of places in central Oahu available until Act 255 was passed just this past year. That's what sent us away from all the central Oahu sites, including Kunia, Wahiawa, Haleiwa possibilities, and made the only available site the expansion.
So that was kind of my point, because we also aren't real pleased about having a quarry in the middle of us either, and we would like to have it taken completely out of our area. I live up in Upper Makakilo, right over the rise from the dump, and every day on a daily basis, I'm dealing with fallout from the dump all over our vehicles. So we got to go down and wash them every day. We're not getting any kind of reparation for that either. So looking at what I'm looking at, the property line or the line would be within several hundred yards of not only our development at Seascape, but also down at the end of Alele Street, there's another development. And then down at Honokai Hale, there's another development. So there's actually 3 rather large communities up there that it would interfere with. It's interfering with us now. I've got a family member who has bronchial problems and things like that because of everything that's coming over the rise from that dump over, already coming into Makakilo. And we're looking at bringing it even closer and affecting Makakilo even more. And what's even worse is that the people on the west side are being affected by it mostly now. And so it doesn't necessarily take that away from them. It just moves it back a little bit and they're still being influenced by it. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Mahalo. Let's go to Dr. Dudley.
The Makaiba Hills area, isn't that planned for housing right now? And also, once the dump is in there, can you tell us, will not the people in Makakilo be looking down at the dump?
Yeah, so let's see, the property is, Makaiva Hills is planned for and was petitioned and approved for 4,200 residential homes, single family and multifamily. Back in the early 2000s, and they did an EIS and they got it essentially a tentative approval for the zoning change and for that property in approximately 2004. So in the ensuing 20 odd years, they have not built that development, and they didn't complete the process to actually have the zoning changed. So it remains zoned agricultural, and it is, it went through the process and getting approved by city council, but with a long list of conditions that they needed to do in order for it to be finalized. And that process was never completed. But they do still have it, show it on their website as a planned development. And they have told us that they don't want to sell it to us and that they want to do that development. And that is the same as what they said in 2004 when it went before city council, and the city council at that time voted to approve the extension and expansion of Waimanalo Gulch landfill over selection of Makaiva Hill sites, Nanakuli site, and various other sites that were on the table at that time.
And
Sorry, I was going to answer your second question, the view plane analysis. So we did a view plane you saw the one rendering we had from the hotel at Ko'olina. We did another one from Honokai Hale, which was similar. We also did one from Makakilo. And from what we can tell, the ridge that's next to Makakilo on the west blocks the view to Makaiba.
Any further questions from board members? Chair recognizes Board Member Hale.
Thank you for your presentation and your appearance this evening. Why can we not just move it down to Campbell Industrial Park? You got all the recycling vendors there. I had a chance to tour this weekend on a tour de trash, which I learned a lot about the blue, green, and gray containers. But from what I saw, 2 of the vendors are in Campbell Industrial already, and the landfill. You know, I've got a chance to see the landfill. Well kept, maintained, but still, you know, important than, you know, expanding the landfill. How can you get Wahiwa back in a picture? Because it's going to go over water, right? You don't want to go over water. Is that one of the stipulations?
It's currently illegal by Act 255.
But yet we have problems up in Red Hill. So, half in one, 6 dozen in the others, Just a thought, consider, please.
Yeah, so with respect to Campbell Industrial Park, that is an excluded area because of its proximity to the airport. So there's a federal rule. So we have five airports, and there's a 10,000-foot limit and flight path restrictions associated with landfills. And that's an FAA requirement, a federal requirement. That takes out Campbell, all of Campbell Industrial Park.
Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot of technical questions about what's going on. So I'm going to ask the process question, which is, where is your technical memorandum update regarding how you eliminated all the sites so far and ended up here at Makakilo Hills? Where is that memorandum where we can analyze and have open review?
Yeah, thanks. We don't have a technical memorandum like that. We have the reports that Josh mentioned online, which is our final report for our Landfill Advisory Committee, which evaluated a bunch of sites and then ultimately recommended none. And then we have what we called a supplemental technical evaluation, which is also on our website, which was after that, which its goal and purpose and what it shows is what would become available if Act 73 was modified and you couldn't put it over an aquifer, right? And so that made some sites that are available to see on there. So there's that memo. And then that basically gets us to where we are today, showing that if you look at the interactive map, there's another one that Josh didn't show, which shows remaining available sites, and there's just two little white areas. One is Makakilo Hills that we've identified, and the other one is a small portion of the Amaron Quarry in Kailua. But it's a very small little piece, and it's inadequate for a landfill. You'll see it's just a few acres squeezed in between all those other restrictions.
Mahalo for providing that response. The Chair recognizes Board Member Dr. Keone Dudley.
I just want to say, as a closing thought from me, I would really like to see some group that you appoint that would be working on trying to eliminate the whole need for the landfill. You know, it is true that in Germany, they have hardly any waste. In Sweden, they have hardly any waste. In Japan, in South Korea, in Switzerland, I mean, the names just go on and on. Why can't we have a body that we can look at, push, and to really insist that they work and get these ideas out to the public so that we don't need a landfill?
Yeah, so before I answer that, I did want to mention the question about the technical report. One of the things that we mentioned of next steps is we have to do an environmental impact statement. And that analysis will be in that. It's required that you analyze alternatives and say how you arrived at at what you're proposing, which will be the Makakilo Hills site. There is quite a bit of time between now and when this landfill can be open. So it is possible that something could happen legislatively that could change the course of what we're doing. So, I mean, I think that is worth mentioning. With respect to having no landfill, we do have we're required to have what's known as an integrated solid waste management plan, and we do have that. It does talk about all the different ways to recycle and mentions zero waste and getting to a point where we have very little waste. The problem with no landfill at all is that that would have to involve some sort of shipping, as well as something to do with debris when we have the inevitable disasters that happen. The one that we had was terrible recently. but actually kind of small compared to a Category 4 hurricane hitting the island, which is what we've planned for. And that generates about 20 years worth of landfill space in one event. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But it does kind of point to the idea, and Lahaina was a much bigger event. You have a lot of material that you have to do something with. You can't make that disappear. So for an island where we would have to deal with all those sort of contingencies, at least in the foreseeable future, we do have to have a landfill. In addition, it's been mentioned that in order to operate H-Power, the permit requires that you have a disposal site on the island for the ash. And so that's a permit requirement. It's possible that that maybe could be changed if we propose some sort of a ash shipping scenario that could be part of some sort of a permit renewal. But right now, that is a requirement that we have a landfill in order to have H-Power. And H-Power, as we've mentioned, is really important because we take all this trash and we reduce its volume by 90%. So we only end up with 10% of the volume. Volume is what's important in a landfill. So H-Power is a really important part of the equation, and it is what allows us to get that 83% of the waste stream not going into the landfill. Most other places, it's 100% goes into the landfill on the mainland. So the only places that are higher, our understanding is like Japan, they're at 90%. So there's still the 10% that you have to do something with. So.
Mahalo. Any further questions from the board before we open it up to the Kaiōʻulu? Okay. Okay. Now we'll be posting questions, right? Questions for ENV that they can respond to at this time. So please come up and state your name and ask the question.
Aloha, community members, board members. Thank you for hosting this meeting here tonight. Aloha, director. Thank you guys for being here. First off, I just want to express my aloha to ENV because during the storm, they actually did help a lot during all of our community cleanups. They provide waivers for the trash, so we do appreciate you. They do a lot for us, and we're grateful. Notwithstanding, we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about Makakilo Hills. And so I have 4 questions. The first one is based off of Chair's question regarding no technical study. If there is no technical study that we can refer to, then what committee of people decided this? Because previously it was stated that the Landfill Advisory Commission suggested Wahiwa, which is not true because they suggested no sites. But then if there was another group gathered, which I don't know who's in that group, and I'm the council member for this area, who decided? So that's the first question. Second question is, did the department study the cultural and the FEIS about Makakilo Hills? Because I don't think that's been considered, mentioned, or even studied. Third, ENV put in 30 million to acquire this land, which I cut out of the budget, and the city council is adamantly putting the money in to acquire that land. 1, because it's not our land. 2, because it's not for sale. And 3, even if it went through eminent domain, it would be a year and a half, maybe even longer, depending on how the court hearing went. And our budget is only 1 year. So nobody would be expending 30 million this year, and nobody is going to do that. But with that being said, when are we going to get some type of written plan so that we can read what the proposal is moving forward? Last question, you mentioned that there'll be a benefits package. Why are we talking about that now? Why hasn't the benefits package been going? Because it could have been suggested this whole time. And I didn't see anything suggested in the city budget this year to fund a benefits package. So to what quantity of money are you guys going to be requesting and to do what? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, council member. Happy to answer your questions. The first question was what committee decided on this landfill? So on this site. So as we explained, we set out our path forward in December of 2024, identified the 3 options, and we're at the we're at the third option, and that's an administration decision. The city has to decide where to dispose of waste. Committees are good for evaluating and advising. The question about cultural evaluation, that will be part of the EIS process. So that isn't done yet. We don't have access to the property. Once the condemnation process starts, then we can get access, or if we purchase. We have allotted 2 years for condemnation/purchase. And that's all in that timeline that I mentioned, why it takes about 7 years to open a landfill. The 30 million, the budget, there has to be, so in order for a PIM to be, in order for any money to be expended on the landfill, there has to be a PIM. The public infrastructure map has to show that the city intends to spend money there. And that's the process we're going through now. And so to put the money in the budget, you have to have the PIM. In order to pursue purchase. Otherwise, there's no money to pursue a purchase. You can't do a procurement to even make an offer or do any kind of suggestion without money in the budget, just like any other item that we have in the budget. The fourth question was about the benefits package. That is a process that, as Josh mentioned, we will start as soon as we're able to know that we can pursue this path. And then what it consists of will depend upon what the community decides. In other places, there's a community committee set up, community members representing different areas of the affected communities, the host community, and then they decide, they take proposals, I guess, for projects. It could be community facilities or many other different kinds of things. And then there has to be a budget for that committee. And as Josh mentioned, the most logical thing is you increase the tip fees per ton of material that's going there to the facility. And then that is directly made available to the committee to decide what to do with it to benefit the community. So as we mentioned, there's 250,000 tons or so of material goes into the landfill. Apparently the tip fee is about $100. If that was raised by $1, that would generate $250,000. If it was raised by $10, it would raise $2.5 million per year. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. The details of that are to be determined. We don't have more anything definitive that we can promise today at this point.
Mahalo. Any other questions from Community Kaiulu?
Hello, Chair, board members. Thank you for being here this evening. My question is, from what I heard from your presentation tonight, is that, like Board Member Medeiros mentioned, what's blocking any other site location from being considered is Act 73. And from what I heard, there was no conversation with legislators. I just asked my colleagues who represent this area and myself. Nobody came to us asking for amendments to Act 73 this session, last session, the previous session, to ensure that promises were kept, because we were told that no more landfills would be in West Oahu. That's what we were promised. So my question is, who did you speak to, and who did your working group talk to at the legislature, House or Senate, to amend Act 73 so that there would be other options to consider to ensure that promises were kept, that the landfill would not be placed in West Oahu again?
Answer the question.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think this question was asked earlier. And the answer is, I don't know who was consulted. That wasn't something on my task list.
Mahalo. It seems like we're hitting a place where they don't have knowledge about these things because it's above their pay grade. So let's now go to the next community member, recognizing you have to keep the questions to their pay grade, which is none of the political decision making. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Malo neighborhood board members. Roger, thank you for this. They are obviously in a tough spot. And I think I want to go on the record. The City and County of Honolulu has not once asked me in the last 4 years to amend the act that would expand the landfill, not this session, not last session, or has never made it a priority. What they have made a priority is try to secretly kill the weight tax bill being proposed for the legislature because they would secretly lose up to $120 million. So instead of trying to prioritize the landfill, they are trying to go behind the scenes and work to kill different measures like this. So my question to you, Roger, given that we know the elevated risk of cancer, respiratory illness, and birth defects for people living in the landfill in Nanakuli and the Waianae Coast, we have environmental exposure and poor health outcomes. How has the city justified adding this environmental burden to the community that is already medically and more environmentally vulnerable? You guys have not talked about the health impacts at once in any of these reports. So could you please answer that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So with respect to health effects of landfills, what our obligation is as as a city agency, as a public entity responsible for collecting and disposing of, doing sanitation, collecting and disposing of waste, we have to follow all of the federal and state laws that exist. And we do those. So there's landfills are governed by federal law called RCRA, RCRA, the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act of 1976. So that has been, it's passed by Congress, and it talks about all the different kinds of contaminants that have to be monitored, the safety protocols, the liners, the monitoring that's required, the reporting that we have to do to the regulators, which include the Department of Health. So the Department of Health issues permits based upon all of the legal requirements. So it's just like everything else we do too, like wastewater. We have to meet all of the regulations, and it is we have to assume that the regulations were set up to protect public health. That is our job, and all we can do is to meet the requirements. And so that is so that is what we do, and we take that very seriously. We don't have any we haven't had any problems with leachate or anything from this landfill, and so we continue to have we would continue to do what we're supposed to do with respect to protecting public health.
I'll add to that, and I'll say that my understanding of the half-mile buffer from Act 73 was that it was derived from a report that was done that said that there was increased risk within half-mile. We're abiding by Act 73, that half-mile buffer, and so that should take care of the health effects.
So much kukai was coming right now, so much questions. I don't know how to answer it. First of all, the Department of Health put in their permit minimum requirements. You know what is the nearest buffer zone, Chair? The Waimanalo Gulch, 3 miles away for dust control. When they go ahead and they examine them is when they get on complaint. That's when they go there. Again, I cannot do that. Anyway, Mr. Dali was right on point. This administration never did address waste to energy. We never gave them 1 binder. Community manager gave them 4 binders. I gave them 1 binder. 2 of the bills that I passed, one was for Oahu, never go too far. Second one was for 500,000 or less. Roger is not telling you guys. He told me he doesn't want waste to energy. They're not looking into it because it costs money. He said it's going to be 7 years for this landfill. You know how much it's going to take for doing waste to energy in Campbell Industrial? Maximum 4 years to 5 years. They would have had this waste to energy done long time ago. What Dr. Dali is saying is 100% right. You guys go Google them up, waste to energy. We're the only place in the world that continue to work with waste management who has $1 billion company, and landfills only make money. That's all it is. Benefit package, you like talk about a benefit package? Ufi Hanneman was mayor. Put together a benefit package for the west side. Kurt Deluzwani mayor took it away, and Peter Carlisle took it away, gone. These guys like talk over here to try to pay us off to do a landfill and contaminate our family's history. It's sad. Anyway, my question is, what is H Powers? What is H Powers facility, and what does it do? Because right now, guys, I don't know if you guys know, we pay every month or every other month, every time we short rubbish to H Power. Okay? He just talked about Hawaii Earth products. Why are we not burning all the green waste? Now he wants to take some more. You see how much thousands of pounds he just said he's going to take away from the landfill with H Power for doing your home trash. Guess who's going to have that too? H Power. I mean, sorry, waste management. Sorry. Oh, shucks. Yeah. Anyway, you guys know which one. Anyway, Hawaii Earth products. Yeah, still shook up over here. I'll bust up. Anyway, why I'm so upset is because they're lying to us, guys. That's why I'm angry. I've been doing this for a long time before I was a senator. I was on the neighborhood board chair. I was here when they came and told us that there was going to be houses in that valley for our people who's suffering. The mayor do not care. Don't let him fool you. He told me straight to my face, no more landfills on your side of the island. Did he call any one of us to tell us that they made a decision to change it? It wasn't for you guys board chair. None of us elected officials would be here. We didn't know. So how secret that was? So again, Roger, I like no. Answer his question, because you had not one binder, you had 5 binders to show you about different technology, for waste to energy, to zero, to no CO2 emissions, and getting rid of the ash within the waste to energy plant. They have that technology. Japan, China, Indonesia, right? Other states are doing it. We're the only one. Because you know why they put waste, when they put when trash can over here by our site? Because we brown. We brown. I'll just be real, guys. We brown. They put that in a low income and rural area for a reason. He talk about the federal standards. Federal standards, I give you federal standards, Chair. In the census that came out, 10 years of our life, who lives around or near a landfill is dead. Community members that we grew up with is dead 10 years earlier because of one landfill. Where's the study for that? They're not going to give you that. They're going to give you a ring around the roses, tell you that above his pay grade. He knows. His boss tells him not to know. Why he never come to us? He talked to me about it. I talked to my colleagues. Nobody came to us to lobby to the Act 73 to change the law, 74, whatever the number. They never came to us, Chair. So again, how are we going to, right now, how are we going to do this when they never do the 100 steps before we came to here? So they need to take the 100 steps first before they come over here and contaminate our community. So no landfills in this community as long as I'm alive.
Mahalo for your passionate advocacy and addressing the chair. That's a good example of what to do when you speak about this and not attack our civil servants. But it's also a good example of what not to do, because Senator Wingo take almost 3 minutes to finally get to his question, which is, can you explain to us why we cannot use the most cutting edge technologies that currently be used in places like Japan, Malaysia, and China?
Yeah, we're not aware of any technologies like that that can be used for the quantity of waste that we have.
Mahalo. Like, let's let them answer. Everybody seeing.
There's no proven technologies that are available that have been done anywhere at the scale that we need. We did have a small pilot of a plasma arc destruction device that was in Campbell Industrial Park more than 20 years ago. So the technology is not new. But those technologies all of them do have residuals. That one makes a slag and glass material, quite a bit of it. Something has to be done with that. Presumably you could ship that, the same as we could ship ash. So those are possibilities. I'm not saying it's impossible. The challenge with new technologies, if you think about it, is that you'd make a big investment in something that's unproven. But let's say it does work. We get lucky and it works. There's still the times when it's not working. Every industrial process has maintenance periods where it's out of service. For H-Power, that's 2 weeks each year. It's scheduled. It's a very rough thing. All the trash going in there and all kinds of materials and metals and stuff that has to be processed and shredded and burned. And there's a lot of things going on there, a lot of moving equipment, and it takes a beating. And so millions of dollars are spent every year to keep that running as part of all the planned outages. That would be true of any process. There isn't any process that can just run all the time. So that's a challenge. So you do need to have something to do with waste when your primary operation is not working. The other challenge with doing a brand new technology and sort of putting all your eggs in that basket is that, what if it didn't work the way it's purported to work? Then we would be in a really bad position because we wouldn't have H-Power anymore, presumably, right? If we stopped using it, it wouldn't be used anymore, wouldn't exist. It would be difficult to, we wouldn't maintain it and keep it operational if we weren't going to use it, right? So if we run into problems, then it's a really, really big risk for all of us, because then we would have a lot of trash and we would have no place to take it. And we presumably could have like a shipping contract in place, but you really can't have a shipping contract if you don't use it. Facilities have to be built, docks have to be built, bailing operations have to be built, and that investment has to be recovered by whoever is going to build that facility. So and then there's the cost factor, of course, as well. So the replacement cost of H-Power, approximately 1.5 billion. So some other technology, presumably that same kind of cost. Whereas maintaining H-Power and keeping it running for another 20 years is estimated to be about $250 million. So, gosh.
I believe that he mentioned waste to energy. H-Power is waste to energy. I did also get the handout and I read it, and it talked about Singapore and the waste to energy being used in Singapore. So we are using a similar technology because that's the technology that is able to do it on that scale. He also mentioned about the put or pay. So we do have an 800,000 ton put or pay where we have to pay Reworld for 800,000 tons of trash, whether we send it there or not. But a few years ago, we were told we were feeding the beast also. And we're really trying to divert, right? We don't want to send ash from H-Power to the landfill. That's why we recycle, we compost, we send those materials. They're higher use according to EPA and DOH as well. So that's why we do that.
Mahalo. We have hit the 45-minute mark for the presentation and the Q&A. I would like to see if there's any pressing technical questions left from the Kaia'ulu, from the community, before we move on to allow you to voice your mana'o regarding our positions. Is there any pressing questions? And yep, come on down.
Okay, it was mentioned earlier that it's been taking the city around 30 years to recycle the ash. My question is the city researching this solely, or are we involving other stakeholders in our community, such as the University of Hawaii at Manoa, which is the top 100 research facility and an R1 doctoral university? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the question is about the ash recycling efforts and research. That was done by the University of Hawaii to figure out ways to recycle ash and to do the pilot testing that was done. Most recently, we've been working with Department of Health to try and get a permit to do it. So we actually have plans to build the ash recycling facility. We paid for that design. However, we will not do the construction until we can get a permit. And so far, we are not able to get a permit from the Department of Health. So we're not going to waste people's money unless we can get a permit. So ash recycling is possible. It is feasible, except for environmental considerations.
Okay. Let's go online. I believe Senator Mike Gabbard or his representative has a question.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we do. Go right
Okay,
ahead.
look, I may have missed, I was having some technical difficulties, and so I missed part of the presentation, but my question has to do with the land that the military controls on Oahu. I'm told that they control between 80 and 85,000 acres. Did you guys cover all the possibilities with the federal military land?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. So the most of the federal land is located over the potable aquifer, so it's inside the UIC line, so it's legally not possible for us to use that land. There are 3 pieces of land that we know of that meet all of the Act 73, Act 255, and all federal regulations. One of them is the Waipio Peninsula Soccer Complex area, which we worked with. The mayor worked over a year with the Navy, potentially to get that site. Ultimately, they said no. Another one is Iroquois Point, adjacent to that, right on Pearl Harbor. It's a magazine. They said no. And then the other one is part of Lualualei Reservation, which the mayor agreed not to ask for that.
So 2 out of the 3, Roger, the military said no?
Correct.
That's correct? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mahalo. Let's go now. We'll alternate in person. Come on down, Senator DeCourt.
Thank you, Chair, board members. Samantha DeCourt, Senator of the Waianae Coast. So I do have 4 questions, but I'll just open up with a quick statement. I'll make sure to stay within my 3 minutes. I just want to bring to the attention that I am completely offended of the introduction of what the city is claiming to be a new site. This is not a new site. Let's be very clear. This is an extension of Waimanalo Gulch. But the city thinks that we are so dumb that if they just move it 2 degrees to the right, put a new name on it, don't forget to use Olelo, that all the Hawaiians are just gonna buy it and we're just gonna eat it. But we're not eating it anymore. We're gonna continue to stand and ensure that no landfills in Waianae, no landfills in West Oahu. So again, I am offended that they think we're that dumb. And to even claim that there is reparations for us, Ole. Reparations stopped in 1893. So we're not buying that anymore. But let me get to my questions. First question is, what would Act 73 buffer need to be reduced to in order to permit the Kapolei site and make the project viable? Number 2, if the state proposed a site-specific exemption to the buffer applying only to Kapolei, would that also be a viable path forward? Number 3, what is the estimated capacity of Kapolei and the surrounding valley area? And my 4th question, my last question is, what happens after this is filled? Even if it's 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years down the line, then what? Because essentially, what you're saying with this proposed site is that West Oahu will continue to be the dumping grounds for this generation and many generations to come. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. So there could be legislative action to modify Act 73. The report that we have online, which is a supplemental report, goes over in detail if you reduce the buffer from a half mile to a quarter mile, what you gain, and if you reduce the buffer to zero, no buffer, what you gain. And I have to defer to the report because I can't remember the exact details with the quarry, but I know that if you go to a quarter mile, the quarry, part of the quarry becomes available. I think in order to get the full benefit of the quarry, you have to go to zero. But I'm sorry, that is in the report, and I'm not positive the exact number. But basically, with the full quarry, it's a 20-year lifespan is what we show in there. Could the act be modified? I think the second question was, could the act modified just to address the quarry and not the buffer, everything else? That's a question for the legislature. I think they can do whatever they want. And the quarry is a desirable site, by the way. It was before Act 73 came into play. It was very much on the list. I think finally the last question was, what happens next? So at some point in the future, another landfill site will be needed, or waste shipping will have to take over. Right now, we're worried about what we need to do next, and then there'll have to be some sort of a longer term plan after that. Want to add anything?
So I'll add to that. This landfill that we're looking for next we're looking for 20 years. But in that 20-year time, we want to work with the community, with anybody we can. I know there's a group that potentially is being formed. We would like to work with that group to try to eliminate landfills within that 20 years. But right now, with the timelines that we have, we don't have enough time to establish a new technology. There was a question too about the capacity of the quarry. So we looked at that. So north and south quarry, approximately 14 million cubic yards. Makakilo was about 21 million cubic yards. So you might get about 15 years out of the quarry if we had Act 73 lifted. The other part of Act 73 is the conservation district land, which the quarry is partially conservation district. So that would need to be lifted as well.
Okay, kalamai everyone. We are beyond the 45 minutes that we allotted, so we have to now move to the next order of business. So if you have questions, or you can bring them.
I'm sorry, I've been waiting patiently, and I'm online, and I have what you said you were going to take technical questions. So could I have just 2 minutes to ask a couple of follow-up questions to what the testimony that was presented?
Sorry, we can't actually take more questions because we're at the
I heard
amount of time.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I heard a filibuster about a lot of topics that were off point. Okay, we're talking in the sky here. I have some technical questions about the TMK map purchases that are proposed versus what was presented on the video. Two different things. And I think it's a simple question. Is the video or the map that showed where the landfill is going to be put, is that the same as the plot or the two plots that they're intending to purchase? I just wanted a clarification on that.
Okay, so we can't take your technical questions at this time because it would be unfair to everyone else. So we'll hold that. Please send it to our person. And then, as I'm the chair and I have prerogative to actually ask final technical questions, can you actually tell us whether or not the TMK maps that you guys are actually trying to condemn and get is the ones that you presented?
I can say yes. In the PIM application, it would correctly list the TMKs of the two properties. So Makakilo Hills LLC owns 2 adjacent properties. The landfill that we've outlined is mostly in the one closest to Waimanalo Gulch, but extends a little bit into the second property. The 2 properties combined together are 1,630 acres approximately.
Mahalo. At this time, we will continue to engage this topic, but I am asking from the board a motion to entertain the resolution calling on the mayor to keep his promise not to site a new landfill in West Oahu. It's been moved by Vice Chair Mikiela Lindstone. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Board Member Hale and others. At this time, we will momentarily go into public testimony as previously detailed by the chair, starting with those that have submitted written testimony, followed by those that have signed up, alternating between us here in person and online. But before we go into that, so everyone gets on the same page, what we're discussing is the proposed resolution from your neighborhood board who heard your concerns and integrated into our policy position that we're recommending. So this is what we want you to speak to if you can. So we'll go through it in short. Calling on the mayor to keep his promise, no new landfills in West Oahu, whereas we're the board community forum. And whereas the mayor publicly promised in town hall meetings, other public forums, and most recently as March 18, 2026, at the State of the City address, not to site a new landfill in West Oahu, and also evidence in the Oahu Landfill Siting Study Supplemental Technical Memorandum of October 2024. Whereas every community in Hawaii is entitled to a clean and healthful environment, according to our Constitution. Whereas leeward communities already bear cumulative burdens from existing industrial parks, power plants, and other heavy infrastructure, compounding health, environmental, and quality of life impacts. Whereas Waimanalo Gulch has been in operation since 1987. For nearly 40 years, surrounding community has shouldered the effect of landfilling and related facilities. Whereas in 2020, Native Hawaiians alone in combination made up 90% of Nanakuli's population, and West Oahu and Waianae Coast contain among the highest concentration of Native Hawaiians and Hawaiian homelands, beneficiaries in the state, communities that face historical and ongoing social, economic, political marginalization, and increased vulnerability in the environment. Whereas scientific and public health studies link proximity to landfills and waste-to-energy facilities with increased respiratory and other health risks, with documented reductions in life expectancies in impacted communities. Whereas last year, HB 1300, signed into law as Act 254 during the 2025 legislative session, appropriated funds to the University of Hawaii Cancer Center to conduct a multi-ethnic cohort study on the social determinants of health, environmental exposures, and cancer risks affecting Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and Filipinos, specifically including analysis of health effects on individuals living in close proximity to these landfills. Whereas that research funded by Act 254 has not been completed, and advancing this landfill siting process before the research is finished means making a multi-decade land use decision without the health data the legislature itself determined was important enough to fund. Whereas the Department of Health documented in December 2010 that unauthorized pumping of leachate from landfill cells in state waters, and the city received a notice of violation from the EPA for those actions. Whereas on January 13, 2011, the city illegally filed a landfill cell with garbage before completing necessary drainage systems. And when the heavy rains followed, the landfill released what? All of that opala into our community. Whereas had the city kept multiple promises to close the landfill when it reached capacity, the massive 2011 breach would not have happened. When first permitted in 1987, this 60.5 acre landfill was proposed to have an 8-year project life. But instead, the city repeatedly sought expansions and deadline extensions while the landfill remained open far beyond its proposed lifespan. Whereas the landfill did not close in 2008, as the city had pledged, and subsequently expansion and modification proceedings extended operations through contested hearings and a 2019 Land Use Commission order that required siting a new landfill by December 31, 2022, and a closing of the landfill by March 2, 2028. Whereas the city failed to meet the December 31st, 2022 deadline, and sought extensions, and now seeks to extend landfill operations into the adjacent Makakilo Hills parcels, proposing a new landfill area of approximately 150 acres that would roughly double the current landfill and give Makakilo Hills a total of more than 1,600 acres. Creates a foreseeable pathway to effectively keep landfilling in West Oahu indefinitely. Whereas the city had more than ample time to close the landfill and find an alternative, over the last 3 decades, the pattern of one administration kicking the can down the road to the next has eroded community trust and accountability. Whereas the history and the proposed advancement of Makaiva without completed health research, full disclosure of decision materials, meaningful engagement with impacted community, us Kaiaulu, amounts to environmental injustice, further concentrating landfills, refineries, power plants, incinerators, and heavy industry in leeward neighborhoods. Whereas the Makaiva Hills 1,781-acre West Kapolei plan, mentioned earlier by Mick Ferrer, our transportation chair, was designed to deliver 4,100 new housing units for our community and infrastructure, and siting a new landfill there would make those homes effectively impossible, worsening the already urgent statewide housing crisis. Whereas credible non-landfill alternatives exist or are advancing, expand diversion and recycling, improve organics management, smaller and strategically located transfer facilities, keep them in your own area, proven conservation pilot technologies with transparent third-party review, ash reuse following independent testing and extended producer responsibility, and these must be all exhausted prior to prevent the current environmental injustice. So whereas rebuilding trust requires the city to act now, not later, by providing full transparency about why Makaiva was advanced over other candidate sites and immediately create a host-led compensation fund to deliver reparative benefits for neighborhoods currently burdened by existing waste operations, including Waimanalo Gulch, PVT, and H Power, rather than a fund tied to the new landfill. You guys should have started already. So now, be it resolved, go down. You gotta, oh, sorry, she's not tracking them. No, go back up. There you go. That the board opposes the PIM amendment to number 2026. PIM 2 opposes any action to site, permit, or build the Makaiva landfill or any new municipal landfill in West Oahu. Be it further that the board urges the mayor and the Department of Environmental Services to immediately pause funding, land acquisition, rezoning, or condemnation related to Makaiva Hills, pending full public disclosure and independent review. Third, the board demands a written assurance from the mayor within 30 days that no new municipal landfill will be proposed, permitted, condemned, or built in West Oahu during his current term. Resolved that the board urges the city council to halt active siting efforts for West Oahu landfill until a publicly vetted alternatives analysis is completed. Resolved that the board urges the city council to create immediately a community-led host compensation fund for current waste operations. Resolved that the board requests the city to disclose if condemnation is being considered for Makaiva, the city must explain why condemnation was not used for other candidate parcels that were eliminated for consideration and provide legal remediation, cultural costs, and timeline justifications. The board also requests that the board also requests release of all information the ENV department used to determine Makaiva Hills viability as the only option. Resolved that the board urges immediate action in the creation of, sorry, that one we did already. Based on the, give us the resources now based on the Kekaha Landfill Fund in Kauai. So you get one model. Next one, that the board supports defunding any attempt to acquire Makaiva Hills parcels. Next, that the board requests a public progress update from the mayor within 60 days. So we're putting him on notice. And quarterly thereafter regarding the transition plan. And resolved that the board requests an initial counting briefing addressing the concerns articulated by our Kaiaulu in the community and comprehensive report within 120 days with 4 different articles that specifically targets how come you guys doing them here. And resolved that the board affirms the commitment to prevent further unjust and environmentally racist overburdening of West Oahu with waste infrastructure and to pursue substantial equitable waste solutions that protect health, water, culture, quality of life. And we want this to be sent to the mayor, the county, all of the area legislators, and every neighborhood board. So this is what your board has put together, hearing the Kayaulu, the community, about what we want to put forward, requesting to them. And at this time, we will do public testimonies in support of the board position or in opposition to Makaiva Hills. Either way you want to do them, we take them. Okay. And we will go first with the written testifiers.
Chair.
Yes.
Almost done, sign up for testify. We're going that order that we.
Yep. We're going to go in order. Yep. But we're going to start with the ones that submitted written testimony first. So first off, we would like to invite the, sorry. First off, we would like to invite up the Prince Kuhio Hawaiian Civic Club to testify in support of the resolution and in opposition to Makaiva Hills landfill siting.
Aloha, Chair, members of the board. My name is Shana Kahiapo Pelekikana of the Prince Kuhio Hawaiian Civic Club. We strongly oppose the Makaiva Hills PIM revision and support the resolution put forth by the board. This is not just the 150-acre landfill expanding to 500 acres. For Waianae and Ewa, this is cumulative harm layered over years of already burdening, carrying in their breath, in their water, and in their bodies. Our Aina is not just land. She feeds us, she holds us, she remembers what we do to her. Placing yet another landfill in West Oahu is not just a planning decision, it is environmental injustice and racism. Not everyone is bearing this landfill burden equally. We are asking the same communities to carry once again the burden of yet another landfill. He ali'i ke aina, ka aina. He kauwa ke kanaka. The land is chief and we are her servants. So I ask, are we serving the aina or are we asking her and her people to serve the city's convenience? If this project is even considered and forced upon the community, the minimum standard should be comprehensive baseline data, going back to when the landfills started. A true cumulative impacts analysis, continuous third-party monitoring with real-time public access, enforceable protections with consequences for broken promises. But we must ask, why this place? What happened to the other lands that were considered? Why must this Aina be the one to carry this burden further? And why are we still choosing landfills when we know the cost? If more time is needed, then any extension must be short, measured, and tied to real progress towards ending this dependence, not deepening it. Because what we build today becomes what our keiki inherit tomorrow. In the air they will breathe, the wine they will drink, the PFAS that will live forever in their kino, we must answer for that. Prince Kuhio Hawaiian Civic Club urges you, stands in strong support of this resolution. And I would just like to say that you guys are not alone. I am not from this side. I am from Kaneohe's side, but there are many other Hawaiian communities that stand with you guys, and we are willing to fight with you guys. Mahalo.
Mahalo for the testimony. Up next, for written testimony, we have Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center in opposition of the Makaiva Hill landfill's PIM modification. And
hi, aloha, mahalo Chair, Vice Chair, and board members. Lena Ala Kanana, Vice President of Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center. And we also respectfully give testimony in opposition of the proposed Makaiva Hills landfill. For the past 53 years, the health center has been at the forefront of addressing health disparities of the Leeward Coast. And we do not take a position on this matter lightly. We are happy to add our institutional voice to your resolution. And much of what you shared, Chair, is in our written testimony. But I do want to add this, that the city tonight has acknowledged that even on the most optimistic timeline, a new landfill in the Makakilo Hills would not become operational until 2033, and that permits alone will take years to obtain. The city has also acknowledged tonight that the Waimanalo Gulch permit will likely need to be extended regardless, and that even with the new landfill, that there is that capacity gap from 2031 to 2033. So with that timeline, there is really no justification for bypassing a thorough health impact review on the neighboring communities. We would like to see a thorough impact health review on Nanakuli Valley or on the hills of Makakilo, right? Or better yet, on our brothers and sisters who live in Honokai, Hale, who every day are gonna have to open their front door and see the Opala right in front of their faces. So again, we at Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center is in support of your resolution. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next up, we have written testimony from Ko'olina in association, in opposition to the PIM revision, and in support of the resolution.
Hello, Mike Kako. My name is Ken Williams. I'm the general manager for Ko'olina Resort. I just wanted to touch on 2 quick points first. Waimanalo in Hawaiian. Our people always name things for reasons, right? Waimanalo means potable water, drinking water. Okay, just to let you know. I know they say there's no water under there, but why would the Hawaiians name it that? The other thing I want to mention real quick before I get into my testimony is I think what is the real reason why it's hard for the city to not put it there. It's all the money they're making, all right? $120 million is nothing to shake your head at. And for them to build a new landfill will take capital cost. It will take a long time for them to break even again before they even start making money again. So right now, they're raking, all right? And whenever you're raking, you don't get rid of them. It's the easiest way to go, the path of least resistance, right? Okay, so for decades, the association at Ko'olina Resort has stood with the Leeward community and intervened in proceedings to oppose the expansion of the Waimanalo Gulch landfill/dump. The association opposes the city's proposal to open a new dump next door to the Makakilo Hills properties. The landfill has harmed the Leeward community and the surrounding environment. Sitting high atop the hillside, the landfill has released odors, noise, and waste into the community, resulting in multiple notices of violation from government authorities. Millions of dollars in fines have been assessed against the landfill over the years. In December 2010, the Department of Health documented the unauthorized pumping of leachate from a landfill cell into state waters. The city consequently received a notice of violation from the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. And we can never forget January 13, 2011. The city was illegally filling a landfill cell with garbage before completing the necessary drainage systems, as the chair had mentioned. They rolled the dice and the community suffered. When heavy rains came, the landfill released unknown quantities of municipal solid waste, sewage, sludge, leachate, and medical solid waste into the ocean. The medical solid waste, including sharps and blood bags, washed up in Ko'olina's lagoons and along a lot of our Leeward Coast beaches. This was the direct result of the city's mismanagement. The cleanup of this waste was very costly and very dangerous for the community. We did it ourselves. We never want to see something like this happen again, never. Had the city kept its multiple promises to close the landfill, the massive breach in 2011 would have never happened. The landfill was supposed to be closed long before then. When the landfill was first permitted, I've been at Ko'olina since 1989, really, I'm not lying. I've been there for 36 years now, and when the landfill opened, I was actually working there. Would have never happened. When the landfill was first permitted in 1987, it was proposed that the 60.5 landfill will have a project life of 8 years. The landfill opened in 1989, and the same year expanded by 26 acres, like that. The landfill did not close when it reached its original capacity. Instead, as it approached capacity, the city sought to expand the site by 60 acres and operate it for another 15 years. The community objected vehemently based on health and safety concerns, as well as a promise by Mayor Fossey at the time to close the landfill when it reached capacity. In a compromise, the city represented to the community that it would close the landfill by 2008 if it were allowed to expand the landfill by 21 acres. During the proceedings before the Land Use Commission in 2003, the city stated its commitment to close the landfill in 2008. Similarly, in 2004, while running for mayor, Mufi Animan promised that he would close the landfill if elected. The landfill did not close in 2008. Instead, in December of that year, the city filed an application to expand the landfill by 92.5 acres. In those proceedings, Ko'olina Community Association intervened as an interested party on behalf of the community to oppose the city's expansion efforts. The proceedings spanned a decade, 10 years, with 2 rounds of contested case proceedings in which Ko'olina expended a lot of money and resources to oppose the city's efforts, all worth it, to expand the landfill. The final decision was entered in November 2019 by the State Land Use Commission, which ordered the city to site a new landfill by December 31, 2022, and close the landfill by March 2, 2028, my birthday. The city did not meet the December 31, 2022 deadline to site a new landfill. Instead, it filed an application to modify the siting condition. The city asked for a 2-year extension to December 31st, 2024. During the proceedings before the Honolulu Planning Commission, the city promised to site a new landfill as soon as possible and within the extension period. The city now seeks to extend the landfill into the adjacent Makakilo Hills parcels. The city says that the new landfill area will be approximately 150 acres, which will be about double the size of the current landfill. Note the Makakilo Hills parcel have a total of more than 1,600 acres. It is not hard to see where this is going. This expansion will keep the landfill here forever. The city had more than ample time to close the landfill and find an alternative for the last 3 decades. Instead, they continue to kick that proverbial can down the road. Enough is enough. Mayor Blangiardi and the city administration should stick to their promises. The Ko'olina Community Association opposes the proposed expansion of the landfill. The landfill should still close as scheduled in 2028, my birthday. This boils down to environmental racism. All the ills of land use are located in our West Side community. Landfills, oil refineries, power plants, incinerators, and heavy industry of all kinds. This landfill has served its purpose, and it needs to be relocated to another community. Stop dumping on the West Side. If the city does not change its mind, the community needs to continue to speak its mind like you are tonight. I appreciate it. Everybody appreciates everybody who's here tonight. The city will need to obtain many regulatory approvals before it can expand the landfill. At each stage, there will be opportunities for public participation. First, the city needs to amend the public infrastructure map. Once DP makes its recommendation to the city council, there will be a 30-day public comment period and hearings before the council. Second, the city needs to amend the EVA development plan. There will be public meetings on the proposed amendment and hearings before the Honolulu Planning Commission and the city council.
Uncle, can you please summarize?
Third, the city needs to obtain a special use permit, a district boundary amendment. This will require many hearings before the Honolulu Planning Commission and the State Land Use Commission. Members of the public can submit public testimony and intervene as parties in the proceeding. At every stage, members of the community should make their voices heard as we are tonight. Ko'olina Community Association stands with the community in opposing the expansion of the landfill and will continue its decades-long opposition effort till the landfill is closed. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo. At this time, for written testimony from the Hawaiian Council in opposition to the PIM revision.
Ano ai me ke aloha ia kākua pau e nā lala o ke ahane, Chair and the esteemed community members who serve on this neighborhood board. On behalf of our CEO, Kuhio Lewis, I extend to you aloha and great appreciation for the work that you're doing. Regarding the position that you take regarding the city's efforts to designate this site, Makaiva, to be the new site. It has been echoed in this room that the environmental and cultural inequities are completely unacceptable and intolerable. Hawaiian Council stands fully behind the position of this neighborhood board. We commit ourselves, however, knowing that the topic of refuse and everybody's responsibility is a collective one. We do avail ourselves to sit with the city and to commit to help you to look for another site. We're here not to just criticize and to lay into you, but we do commit to stand with you and to help you find another location. Why? Because we stand with our community on the Waianae coast. We will not tolerate this. And on behalf of our people and our community, again, we appreciate the work that is done in the other areas to mitigate the refuse needs of Oahu. However, it has been clearly echoed tonight that we will not tolerate being treated as the trash dump for this island. And to quote the words of Hawaiian Council's leadership, Hawaiian Council intends to vehemently oppose this proposal. We are prepared to engage fully in this process and will utilize the capacity of our organization, including our network of over 2,000 members and member organizations, to ensure that this issue receives the balanced, transparent, and community-centered discussion it deserves. And of course, should that fail, who in the Lahui will stand with me? Should we say we'll stand strong against this effort? Do I hear a AO? Mahalo nui. Mahalo ya uko.
Mahalo for the testimony from the Hawaiian Council. At this time, we have written testimony in opposition of the PIM revision from the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs.
Aloha, Chair Paris, Vice Chair Lindstone, and members of the board. Aloha, I'm Malia Nobriga Oliveira. I'm the second Vice President of the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, and I'm calling in today from my home island, which is Kauai. And we stand in full support of the resolution that the board has put forward and in opposition, firm opposition of what the city is putting forward for the Makaiva Hills landfill. For decades, the city and county of Honolulu has repeatedly promised to close the Waimanalo Gulch sanitary landfill, but has failed to deliver. Those broken commitments have inflicted ongoing environmental, health, economic, and cultural harms on Waianae Coast communities and have eroded public trust. Promised mitigation and benefits tied to Makaiva Hills, most notably workforce housing, have been delayed since 2007 and are now jeopardized because the city advanced plans for a landfill without completing the necessary due diligence, transparent consultation, or negotiated compensation, as we've been hearing about. The current city administration has publicly pledged not to site another landfill in West Oahu, citing environmental justice concerns. Despite that commitment, the city is proceeding with land acquisition and permitting actions for Makaiva Hills without prior meaningful consultation with the communities that would be most affected. Makaiva Hills is not a geographically distinct alternative. The proposed landfill sits on the ridge line immediately next to WGSL and would perpetuate the same concentrated corridor of impacts. The Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs has passed a number of resolutions that allows me to come before you today, and that has created that foundation for the position we are taking. Regaining community trust requires concrete, enforceable actions prior to any further permitting or land acquisition for Makaiva Hills. Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs urges the city to do the following: withdraw the Makaiva Hills PIM revision and suspend any condemnation or citing actions until the city completes thorough, transparent due diligence and meaningful consultation with affected communities. Honor the association's resolution 2011-43 and the city's public commitment by committing to close WGSL without replacing its impacts with another nearby facility. And just to, we've submitted all of our other manao. And, you know, we just mahalo our Prince Kuhio, who in 1918, the Hawaiian Civic Club movement got started. And we are one of the oldest Hawaiian community-based advocacy organizations. And we are here to stand with our community. Ay, mahalo.
Mahalo for the shout out from Kauai. Okay, at this time, we have Makaha Hawaiian Civic Club submitted testimony in opposition and in support of the resolution. Okay.
Mr. Chair, is it possible to cut the presentations to a shorter amount of time? There are a lot of people who have signed up to talk, and if we continue to allow 3 minutes for everyone, we're not going to give a chance for the people here to talk.
Okay, so there is a request from a board member to adjust the testimony allowance tonight. Say a minute, 90 seconds. Okay, let's try a minute. And if you gotta go beyond, then give me the signal and then we could try extend them. So if without objections, we'll ask kindly that everyone try to limit their comments to 60 seconds or less and bring up new information or highlight the information that you want everybody to echo, okay? Mahalo. With that, let's move now to and invite up the current landowner, the James Campbell Company, for them to provide their testimony.
Good evening, everybody. Aloha. I'm Matt Cares on behalf of the James Campbell Company. As Chair mentioned, we are the landowner. We stand side by side with the community, the Lahui. I did have prepared remarks. I got off course when I have to correct the record. Scrambles my brains a little bit. So to hear officials from the city say that we've done nothing to further the housing that this INA is intended for is a complete lie. They have the reports. We've had annual reports every year since this land was rezoned, not in 2004, but in 2008, 4 years later, for up to 4,200 homes. And it's our belief that housing, as we make decisions, we've owned this land for over 140 years. And when we make decisions, and some of it's the proof right here, all of you today, City of Kapolei, we don't make decisions for one generation, which 20 years lifetime for a landfill is not even a single generation. We make them for 7+.
Who's Campbell?
I didn't say we was an owner. We're just stewarding the land.
The land, but disregard the air, the oiling them.
Yo, my brother, I hear you. I hear you. And I got your passion. You can come up afterward, no problem. Yeah.
Anyway, respectfully, we stand in opposition to the PIM amendment. We will continue to oppose any expansion of the Waimanalo Gulch landfill. Thank you.
Mahalo. Now moving to the next written testimony in opposition is from Aaron Pulsifer. Okay. Going once, going twice. Next, in opposition from Akisa Linoy Kane. Okay. Now, opposition from Mr. Kamuela Warner, MPH. Okay. Next, opposition from Dr. Benton Kelly Pang from Kaimuki. Okay. Next, opposition from community member David Kabika Kane. Okay. Next, Opposition written testimony from Auntie Georgette Stevens from Waianae. Okay. Next, opposition testimony from Gil Ramirez. Next, opposition testimony from Aloha Yula Kane. Okay. Next, opposition testimony from Joy Condit. Opposition testimony from Kapolei Hoyle Kamakahi. Okay, come on down. Please provide any oral highlights. We have your written testimony. So everyone else I shared before, they already put in their testimony in opposition of the PIM revision, and probably many of them is staying silent so that everybody else can speak, then I will put them in. So mahalo to those. Come on down, yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I bring my keiki here tonight to keep me grounded because I am here to represent him and his future family in this area that we live. I am from the Kaupea homestead, and I would like to address the board and giving me the opportunity to speak. I am with Kingdom Pathways, which is a nonprofit Native Hawaiian organization, and we focus on the Waianae-Moku area and the issues that our community brings to us. I would like to say that Kingdom Pathway has created a health survey that has been completed December 2025. Out of the 102 respondents that participated in our survey, 50% have reported that they have had sickness or some type of medical condition due to the air in the area of Waimanalo Gulch. And these families are a quarter-mile away from this area. We have proof that there is a health disparity. We do not want another extension, and we would proceed to help make a difference with the resolution to make a difference for our community and the future of the community. Mahalo.
Mahalo for your oral summary. For those that are not testifying tonight, don't feel called to, but wish to kako'o, there is a petition that supports the position of the neighborhood board. If we take it tonight, feel free to sign them. Now, let's go to Lauren Ballesteros Watanabe in opposition to the PIM revision. Okay, next, Lonel Santiago in opposition. Next, Maxine Pinkford in opposition. Next, Ramona Kalima Kahikina in opposition. Next, Terry Heedy in opposition. Next, Anolani Kane in opposition. Next, Henrietta Paris, my mom, in opposition. Okay, Mom G. Next, Auntie Pee Wee Ryan from Kapolei in opposition. Those were all the written testimony we received. Now going to in-person and online testimony. We will start now with Michael Freitas.
Good evening, Mike Freitas, 30-year resident of Honokai, Hale, Nanakai Gardens, 21-year resident of Makakilo. I've been dealing with this landfill for 41 years. This is not new. This was presented to the city council in 1985. The difference is it was Makaiva Gulch, not Makaiva Hills. And it was tied to Waimanalo Gulch. I don't say Waimanalo sanitary landfill, nothing sanitary about a landfill. What happened was the board, the Honokai Hale Community Association went to the city council. We testified against the bill. We didn't have the votes. Our city council person, Patsy Mink, called a recess, said that Mayor Fossey wanted to meet with us. We met with Mayor Fossey, and we negotiated taking Makaiva Gulch off the pit. He promised us that the landfill would actually take 10 years. Now, if this passes, what you're doing to the people in Honokai Hale is you're giving them 3 landfills in 41 years, Palai landfill, which closed, Palai, which closed in 1989. Waimanalo, and now you're going to give them Makaiba. People in Honokai Hale have suffered enough. Mayor Blangiardi is not just killing and hurting people down on the west side. He's taking away a promise that Mayor Frosty made to the people of Honokai Hale. And this got to stop. It's got to stop. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mahalo, Uncle Frank. Uncle Mike Freitas for your testimony. At this time, we're alternating online. If we have community member Johnny May Perry. Reminder of the 1 minute, Kealo'olu, please.
Thank you, Chair. I remember being in that room where you're all at, and at that time we had Council Member Mike Gabbard, and we had 1 minute to testify, same as the testimony, the same thing, but yet landfill continue. So we had John DeSoto, Mike Gabbard, Tada Poe, Tom Berg, Kimberly Pine, Councilmember Tupola, and we still talking about the same issue. They had the power. What did they do? Okay, I'm not running for any office like how all this drama I'm seeing, but I would say taking in a lot of things into factor, I would say to Mr. Babbitt, because Waianae Valley was a site name. It was called Nanakuli Upland, but it was really Waianae Valley. So on that reason, I say to Mr. Babbitt, eminent domain. Thank you.
Mahalo, Auntie Johnny May Perry, for your testimony. Let's now go to Dimon Kalai Manaole.
Hey, aloha. My name is Dimon Kalai Manaole, co-manager of Ho'omanapono LC, a native Hawaiian advocacy corporation operating out of Waianae Coast. And we strongly support this board's recommendation. And we strongly reject Mayor Blangiardi, who has no love for Hawaiians. He's proven himself to be unfit to be our mayor. That's why Waianae like be our own community, our own city council, city county, because we're tired of Honolulu trying to dictate to us our life over here and destroying our life over here. We're done with that. These guys that came over here, unfortunately, you work for the mayor, but I gotta tell you, bro, you come over here with this pala over here, you tell us, in just a second question, talking about, and the answer says, this proposed site is not a new landfill. But in your own presentation, it says a new landfill. You know, we're tired of you guys coming over here lying to us all the time. I was here in Nanakuli, we didn't go talk a couple months ago, and you came with the same lies. We're done. The last thing I like to say is I think everybody should listen and see Sister Nani Peterson's report on Facebook today. We now learn of a new environmental spill, gotta be coming from the landfill where it will fill the water with all that brown shit that coming over there. How you guys gonna explain that? Explain that one. How you guys gonna fix that one? You guys constantly lie. We're done with your lies. We're done. Aloha.
Mahalo for your testimony. Let's go online to Luann Langford Favorito. Not hearing Luann Langford Favorito at this time. Let's go next online to Brian. Oh, come on down, Brian.
I've been in Honokai since 2000, so 26 years. But I'm a newcomer to Honokai Hale because the old timers were there from about 1970. The one thing I noticed when I got to Honokai Hale, and I came from California, was I had a great appreciation for the Campbell estate because they actually came out to our park and talked to us. They had an executive vice president talking to 20 people in a neighborhood. So we might disagree with the actual houses all the way up the hill, but at least they are acting in a manner that has aloha. And so that's number one. We've also seen a few politicians come out to our neighborhood. Mike Gabbard's been there, Andrea Tupola. So we've had politicians in our neighborhood. In this case, we didn't get anyone. And what's also very upsetting for me is when I look at
Come to the microphone, yeah.
when I look at the map that they put online, it's clouded. It doesn't even show our neighborhood. When I try to match up the TMK maps, they're coming all the way down the whole mountain. They're buying out the whole valley. And they're coming all the way down to Old Farrington Highway. Kapolei Stream comes down there. There's old bridges that have been there. That's the old road. And it's upsetting to me that they're trying to trick us. And that really is what's got me down here and it's got me emotional, is because this is not the way it's done. I've been here 26 years. I've started to learn the way it's done here. I try to live the way it's done here, but that's not the way this mayor or anybody in that office is treating us. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Mahalo for your testimony, Brian. Thank you for coming down in person. Let's now go to Lloyd Fowler.
Thank you, Council Chair. Thank you for the board being here tonight and all the patience. I've been a Hawaii resident for over 56 years. Moved to Makakilo in 1978, 48 years ago. Bought our first home there in 1986. When we bought the first home, we were told there was going to be a golf course on the east side of Makakilo. Well, that turned into a quarry, okay? And that's been there for who knows how long, and it's an ongoing project for years to come. When it began, and to this day, many residents deal with the consistent dust from this operation. I've been told that having air conditioning is a must to deal with that. Now in 2026, we're being told a zoned and planned homes by Campbell Estate in West Makakilo are being overridden by a proposed landfill. This proposed landfill is 2.5 times larger than the existing Waimanalo Gulch landfill. Now, I want you to make sure you look at the right map. None of these pictures that they see on the news and none of the pictures I think that Roger showed earlier give you a real evidence of what it is. It goes all the way up to the first ridge on the west side of Makakilo and all the way over to the existing landfill and down to Farrington Highway. That is the entire area that is proposed for this. It says it meets, it said check the map, right next to Makakilo Water Park, Kapolei Shopping Center by Target and Honokai Hale. They say meets all the setbacks and clearance requirements. Okay, let's be real here. As with the quarry, what about the dust? And this isn't red dirt. This is hazardous waste from the Ace Power incinerator. Based on their presentation, it's 1.4 million pounds of hazardous waste that's going to be put into this landfill. Now, they don't want to do anything with it. There's something that can be done with it, but nobody wants to take that effort. This dust and odor will blow over on Makakilo and Kapolei for the next 30 plus years. Don't concern yourself with it taking time to leach into the water aquifer. Let's just have the hazardous dust and debris blow right into the residential areas and schools, 24/7, 365.
Could you kindly summarize, please?
I will. Even now, when the wind is right, folks in Kapolei can easily smell the Campbell Industrial Park. What about the noise? Those who remember Hawaii Raceway Park can hear the Hawaii Raceway Park on Fridays and Saturdays. Now with this proposed landfill open 7 days a week, this noise will be consistent throughout the area. Our existing landfill, there is an extension available for 5 to 9 years. Now the city seems to be pushing this on the fast track. What about permits? It seems as though everybody has to wait over a year for a permit. City can get it immediately. What about needing the right of the, what about the right of the existing landowner and all investment made for needed housing? If there's not any other side, then the city should consider other options, even shipping it off island. What about the city's promises, not on the west side? The existing landfill in Waimanalo Gulch has a capacity until 2031, according to the city, 5 years. Waimanalo also going to be extended to 9 years to 2035 with additional 90 acres to be decided. This I got off the website today. Finally, now in 2026, as we consider the future of Kapolei, we need to remember that Kapolei was created in 1977 from another Campbell Estate plan from 1955, 71 years ago. Kapolei was touted as a second city in 1977, 49 years ago. Kapolei has over 14,000 homes and growing. Let's not scuttle the existing zoning plan's future of Kapolei, and do not make Kapolei a second-class city with a hazardous landfill. Thank you.
Mahalo. Okay, next up online, we had Braden Wilkerson. Okay, now hearing Braden Wilkerson,
Hello.
let's go.
Hello.
Oh, go right ahead. Go right ahead, Braden. Turn
Hi,
on your
give me
camera
a
if you
second.
can.
I cannot, but thank you. Aloha Chair, members of the Neighborhood Board, distinguished agency staff, legislators, and members of the public. My name is Braden Wilkerson, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify you before this evening. As background for my testimony, I served on both the political and legislative staffs of Councilmember Andrea Tupola, holding roles as her senior aide and policy director with the Honolulu City Council for approximately 2 years at the beginning of her term. I ultimately resigned my position with her office over a number of ethical and policy decisions made during that time, most notably her refusal to take appropriate and urgent action regarding the selection and sitting of a landfill in West Oahu. During 2021 and 2022, as her policy director, I engaged with various city agencies, departments, and advisory boards, including the Landfill Advisory Commission, the Department of Environmental Services, the Board of Water Supply, and the Office of Council Services to conduct legislative research and policy work on this issue. It became evidently clear, given the regulatory conditions imposed on the city by the state and federal government, that without an urgent amendment to Act 73, the selection of a new landfill site in West Oahu was inevitable. In response to those findings, I drafted a council resolution during the summer and fall of 2022, outlining the regulatory issues and requesting that the Honolulu City Council provide unanimous consent and urging the Hawaii State Legislature to amend provisions of Act 73. I presented this resolution to Councilmember Andrea Tupola at various contentious staff meetings during the summer and fall of 2022, notably at Kapolei Hale. She refused to even read the document, refused to sign the resolution, and refused to introduce the resolution for passage by the Honolulu City Council, which would have notified state lawmakers and the public in 2022 about the inevitability of this regulatory outcome. I subsequently
Would you
resigned
kindly
her
summarize,
office.
please?
Yes. I also want to provide information to the public that these conversations persisted in the summer and fall of 2024 and 2025, where I continued to push in private communications with the council member the urgency and the need for introducing and passage of these resolutions. I encourage any member of the public to introduce a uniform or UWIPA request a Uniform Information Practices Act with the Office of Council Services related to Act 73 to prove that Andrea Tupola did not act when she was required to act as a member of the city administration to prevent this inevitability. I have private conversations as well between her and her senior directors in which they explicitly write that they did not feel that it was worth wasting their time or political capital on a resolution that would have been ignored by the state, and they felt that I was crazy for being that invested in the outcome of this resolution. I also want to just provide, again, all public record, please find it, and I will provide the private communications to anyone who is interested. I also want to offer that one person was fully aware and took action on this. I was in regular communication
Kindly
as well.
conclude your statements.
I
You've
will.
reached the 3-minute limit.
I will. I was also in regular communication with Senator DeCourt after her election on these issues. She is fully abreast, and because she took action on this urgent matter was the only person in the state Senate to vote no on Act 255. I
Thank you for your
conclude.
testimony.
See when you're running in a polls.
Okay. Okay, next person we have is Misty Yi. Okay. Next person we have is Helen Zahn.
1 minute.
Okay. Next person to testify is Patty Torrea.
Go get him, Patty. 1 minute, Patty. Go get him.
We kindly ask for 1 minute, please.
Aloha, Mr. Chair, and members. At this time, I want to give up my time to Carmen, because she didn't sign up, but Carmen, and she's from Waianae with our organization down in Waianae. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo for taking 15 seconds. Go right ahead.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Carmen Guzman Simpliciano. I am a lifelong resident of Waianae. I am the co-founder of Kingdom Pathways. As my cousin Kapolei had mentioned, we did do a health survey. The 50% rated Waimanalo Gulch as the air quality being poor. The other 50 of those that did our survey rated it fair. We are also, as a part of your resolution, the neighborhood board, where you guys mentioned the cancer doing research. We are working alongside them to further explore the issues here in Waianae because there is a lot. Yeah, that's not being mentioned. Sorry, I'm so irritated. I don't even know where to start. So I just want to say that I oppose, first of all, and I support your guys' resolution. And then I just want to make mention that this is not one brand new problem as we pretending to make it happen over here tonight. You guys had since 2010 to do something. And then Department of Health, the state said, oh, let's kind of regulate what's going on because nobody doing nothing. And that was 2022. And then 2024 was extended. So why are we pretending that this is brand new? It's 16 years in the making and nothing's been done. And we had last meeting that we had in Nanakuli with EMV present and they presenting, they said, we don't have a site. And next, so that's a lie, straight up lie to community, another lie. Then you went, then EMV went to city council asking for $30 million and pretending they never know the whole time that they were going to pick this site. We always knew that this was the place.
Kindly summarize, please.
I will. So there's other things that wasn't mentioned. The gas that was admitted. And they were issued a violation. And that violation was covered up. And that's in the studies. That's in the commission study paperwork, the report. And they call, I forget what they call that, but if you want to read it, I can print it out for you. So that wasn't mentioned as a part of the health effects. Then that leaching. When my cousin went on that tour, she asked,
You have 10 seconds.
okay, she asked,
I would like to yield my 1 minute. I signed up. Mahalo.
when my cousin went on the trash detour, she asked about the leaches that come out. When do they do the testing? They said, okay, we test. She asked again, when do you guys release it? They said, oh, we release it after, we send in the testing, it has to go to the mainland. And within that time, they just release it. She asked again, do you notify the community that you're releasing it, even without that test result coming back? They said, no, we just released it. So these things is stuff that we don't know, right? And if we don't know what's happening to our health, what we eating in our kai. And then another thing is,
Nori, take a breath. She give you a minute.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me look at my paper. So all those complaints and those distrusts, why are we gonna trust you with a new landfill? I don't get it. I don't get it. You guys have been lying since day one, right? Whew. I cannot even, yeah, I cannot even.
No worries.
But my testimony going to show up, and I always going to show up, and I'm going to be a part of these studies. And I encourage community here tonight to reach out to our organization and be a part of that movement. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo for your testimony on King Pathways. Okay, let's now go to James Cowell.
Chair, can go after chair, after names. Freaking itching.
Good evening, Chair. I want to say thank you very much for allowing this to happen tonight. I am from the Miley Nanakuli Neighborhood Board. Right now, currently, I am the chair of the Parks and Recreation. I've lived out in the Waianae side 50+ years. I've been in construction for 42 years as a truck driver. I've been to every job site on this island, and I've been to every rubbish dump on this island. And all these rubbish dumps I go to is in Waianae. I want this to stop. I want it to stop now. Find somewhere else. Come on. We've had enough out on Waianae. The last big rain, not this past one, but a couple years ago, they had a big rain. Somebody mentioned all that medical supplies, the needles, everything went floating down to the ocean, right into the lagoons. I don't want that again. My kids live out there. My kids are all grown up. My grandkids are out there now. I don't want it. And everybody on the Miley Nanakuli Neighborhood Board do not want this landfill to happen. I'm in support for this resolution that you folks put out 120%. And as a member of the Nanakuli Miley Neighborhood Board, I will support you on this resolution 120%. Thank you.
Mahalo. Next up, Ken Williams. After Ken Williams, Kristen Vasquez. I'm going to start calling you out so we can start eliminating time. So Ken Williams, Kristen, then Sweetie Nelson. Okay, moving forward. Trans Ellison. Terry Savainea. What's his name? Keli'i Hua Kalamai. I'm getting hard time reading. Okay, Terry, come on down. Yes.
Okay. Aloha Chair and members of Board 34 and community and legislators. O Terry Savaina ea ko inoa. A ke nohone au ma wa'anai. I serve as the Wa'anai Coast Neighborhood Board Chair, and I'm testifying tonight in my personal capacity as a resident of Wa'anai. I stand in strong opposition to 2026 PIM number 2 of the proposed Makakilo Hills landfill and strongly support Board 34's resolution 2026-4A. For decades, our community has carried Oahu's, sorry, but this is very emotional for me, has carried Oahu's waste burden. This is not just about land use. It is about environmental justice and the health of our lahui. Expanding landfill use next to our community continues a pattern where the west side is expected to sacrifice more than others. This is not balance. This is not fairness. Our families, our kupuna and our keiki deserve clean air, clean water, and a future not defined by Oahu's waste. The responsibility must be shared across the Aina, not placed on one community simply because it has always been that way. Enough is enough. No means no. Aole landfill. Mahalo.
Next up, we have Kokahana Kelihuapua. After that, we have Kaukaohu Wahilani. After that, we have Kaiulani. Okay. Just take it back.
Aloha, my name is Lokana Keli'ikoapua from Waianae Valley Homestead. Before I get emotional too, I just want to say that I'm in support of the resolution that you folks have presented. But more so, like Terry, as we've been echoing, the injustice that has been done, the burden that we have carried years and years for this entire island. You've heard James, being a truck driver, where is the dumps? On the west side. Where are our homeless homes? On the west side. We all have homeless all over, but where are most of them being built, whether we're talking about shelters? On the west side. The promises that have been broken continuously over and over, that's for the state to bear, not the west side. Our government officials, and it can come from the federal government too, our congressmen, they have stronger voices than our local governments. But we, the people, have to stand, and we continue to stand. You know, at one time when we first had this PVT in the Waimanalo Gulch, they put us in a small place, our Maili neighborhood board. Man, we were so packed out. I think the anger was there that how disrespectful are they to treat us like this, to smash us like sardines in a can. I mean, it became an uproar that evening. The emotions were high. Tonight is calm compared to what we had that evening. And so we had another meeting scheduled at our Nanakuli High School. But you know, the people came out, we had more room. And I remember the Eli family, how she bought her children. They OLED. They represented generations and generations. And that's what we're here. We're representing the generations and generations. Tita bought her son, reminded us that we're not doing for today, but we're doing for tomorrow. And that's what we're here for the future. And I just want to thank you folks for allowing us, for having us be able to come and testify, even though the time may be shortened. I know that you also have the heart to lengthen some of those. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Kaukaohu Wahilani, Kaiulani, and Mahia afterwards.
Aloha, Chair, board members, Kaukaohu Wahilani, Nupuea Mayao, Ku'uhoni Anau, Nanakuli, first row. Lifetime resident of Waianae Moku. I stand in support of this board's resolution, and as well as I stand in my capacity as also Waianae Neighborhood Board for 11 years. And in my capacity, I stand in support of the resolution and to Ku'e in opposition of the proposed landfill. When ENV came to Nanakuli, February 27, we went and asked them, oh, where's the proposed site? You guys came out with crickets, bro, Josh. You guys never say where it was, okay? So I just like share this one fast one. Historically, Waianae has been a shedding ground for Oahu. 1909, the Oahu Railroad was bringing Opala from Honolulu and dumping them in Keawaula. That's where they call Yokohama's. Frick that, it's Keawaula. Okay, so historically, Waianae has been a dumping ground. And no way in hell that you guys gonna get on Makaiva. No way, because right now, if you guys go share that, I swear you're gonna get 10,000 Kanaka. We're gonna galvanize Waianae and we're gonna show up over there on front lines. Respect our existence or expect our resistance. Yo.
Yo, mahalo. Kaiulani, Mahia.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I am Kaiulani. I'm from the Waianae community. I'm a direct descendant of Matayo Kekuanoa. And before I give my testimony, I would like to give space for Kupuna to show up.
Aloha, Ho'okela. I am also an heir of Miriam Kekaunohi. If we're talking about title, you guys doing things concerning title. They want to do stuff on the title. And that palapala hoko, that palapala sila nui, you're looking at it. Then they'll go, I am one of many heirs. So I give you guys notice that I'm an heir. There are plenty of heirs in here. Ho'oilinas. And this place taught me a lot of things. If you guys don't know, I'm a chanter, I'm a prophet. My mom raised me as a prophet up to the spiritual nation of Ku. Hui'ea. This place that they want to go through their protocol taught me a lot of things. Taught me a lot of olis. I'm not a cultural practitioner. I live my practice. That is my life. That is my family's life. That is their life, the Ho'olina's life. And who has been defrauded from the get-go is us. Kamakila Campbell, she's going to explain the title. But I open up with a chant because to remind everyone here that the spirituality of this place still live. Our God's still alive. They're still here. Kau ke akai, koi ke mama o ka unu ko teua. Kau ke onoi. He la na ko nu ko o tauna ne hela. He mau ko nu ko i ke mau i ke na ka o. Ka o nu ko i ke Hawaii ko la. Ko la i te mau i ke nei. E ku kanino ko no i ke ama mai ko nu uli uli. He mama i ke na nai ke o e ka o ko na Hawaii te nei. E ka he o ka ua. Mama i te nana. I te amo mo ko nu ko i te na ui. E pale ua. Hawaii ke nau. Kamakila ole nei. E ho'oilina. Makala oi. Makala oi. E ho'oilina. E ho'oilina ina nai palapala hoko. E palapala sila nui. No one gets rid. No one can talk about shit until we talk about title. Nobody. We can talk about solutions after, but that title needs to be resolved. It has been quieted. Why is it now being moved around? Desecrations of our lands, desecration of our gods, desecration of our oceans, desecration of our caves, desecrations of our hanau areas, and desecrations of our probates. I stand here before you, each and every one of you. Though you may do a great job, I am giving you guys notice that we live in heirs. Living heirs. So, Maya, you can explain the title.
Aloha o mahialani kulohano. Aloha ya kato pakahepa uroa. My grandparents lived on Paris Drive. And so I spent a lot of my time here, learning and also living our life. Yeah. I am a certified human rights educator with the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights. Also a four-year paralegal, UH Musese, Ame Shamanadyu. What I've done here on behalf of my tita, all of my, right, well, I guess I'll hold this. What I've done here on behalf of my tita Tara Roja and also Na Ho'ilina is prepare a preliminary independent title report and examination in law. One of the key things that I'd like to bring to the attention of everyone, by the way, I do object, oppose, and reject the plan for that. Yeah, all of it. And I'd like to make the point that this is an in, how do you say that, a piecing of the master plan. Okay. The master plan, if it is pieced out and approved in these little tiny little patterns, don't need approval. Okay, so maka alaya oko, they're gonna piece out this to you bit by bit by bit. Yeah, I maka ala, a maka valu. So in this title report, which can be made available to each and every one of you, mahalo board, mahalo na lehulehua, malhinia, na kanaka koenai. Miriam Kiko Onohi's actual alleged will is included in here. A certified copy of it is in here, naming her, well, it doesn't name her kakamahine, but she does have heirs. And that kakamahine, as we know, our ohana, many of your ohana, did go on to have children, and their children. Not only that, in her royal patent, is the koenae na kuliana o nakanaka, the reddendum clause in the royal patent. In the royal patent, which was issued on 9/11/1877, coincidentally the same date that Ami and Coney allegedly create their deed and sell it to James Campbell, Maupopo. Everything before then never passes title. So I want you all to ho'olohe and take this ho'opanauia, that this right now is considered nothing having to do with Campbell or the estate of James Campbell, because he never got nothing. Maupopo, in law, your kanavai, your kupuna, your mo'i, your ali'i, your maka'inana, your kaukawali, your konohikis, everybody. And by the way, also in part, the third part of that royal patent of all of Honouliuli, which includes Makaiva, I will sum it up, sir. Includes Epiliana na konohiki. So all of you heirs that come from all the konohiki lines, you hold in joinder all patented. That sits above law, patented. Maupopo, patented rights, titles, and interests in joinder. All konohiki heirs, all koina inakuliana o nakanaka heirs, with the heirs of Kekau Nohi. So that's everybody. And I believe Uncle, when Uncle said he's calling all thousands kanaka, I'm there, Uncle. Where he went? Yeah? Okay? We are there, and we do come in to also humu this action tonight with all the actions like kaulu pricing of homes. That's pricing us out. The other thing is this proposal for another land here on this side of Aina. That's also gonna be a part of this so-called master plan. So everybody needs to maka'alahare moving. You move against that too with your right and your legitimate rights. And to all the malihini here, you do have resolution. Just because you didn't get the disclosure on your title, don't mean that you don't have a solution. You got title insurance. You got mortgage insurance coverage. So go in, yes. Okay, so we'll make this available. Mahalo, mahalo kato pukayaporo.
At this time, the chair recognizes that we are 12 minutes past our 10 o'clock appointment. We have a motion on the table that needs to actually be addressed. So at this time, if you want to provide any testimony before we vote, please line up over here so that we can go as expeditious as fast as possible. And then we will restrict you to 60 seconds. Please, Keoloolu, because if we don't vote tonight, the board can't take a position and we can't submit it by the May 8th deadline that the Department of Planning and Permitting put on us. Okay?
Aloha, my name is Hiva Kahiaku Rodenhurst, and I wanted to be put on the record that I am also a Ho'oilina heir of Honouliuli, and that my kupuna have royal patents within this, within Honouliuli. I also want to object to this landfill, and a part of that title research that she was talking about, we do also object to James Campbell's so-called ownership of this land, because we did find fraud on the title. And we know that throughout historical history, of course, there's all of these types of titles was pushed upon us, but the fraud has to be exposed and the true title needs to be put on the record and the heirs need to be restored back to this land. I am not for any type of just building on the mountain, because as my Kane said, that is also a spiritual place for us. Kukaili moku ku'oahuku. Palehua is a sacred mountain as well. And everything that comes from Mauka goes down to our ocean. And we already know that there has been too much development and too much desecration. I'm not for development, but I am for Kanakas being restored to Kuleanas. I also want to say that if there isn't a Kapolei analysis or EIS, that we also, every single one of us coming forward, be included in this, and that we are against any development within this area that's not for Kanaka.
Mahalo. As we testify before, make sure that it's something new that the board hasn't heard.
Yes, aloha Tara Rojas, and I just really love when the Ho'ailona, happens to bring us together for what we wanted to put on the record here for the neighborhood board, as well as to oppose the landfill in Makaiva. And I just want to say this, that there is no price that you can put, there is no price you can put over the health of the people, or the health of the Kanaka. But I came here to actually ask you in support as well, because I put in a contested case. It was rightfully executed. Right now, I am waiting for the hearing officer's decision to whether on the motion to dismiss. So I am in the contested case against the Kalaeloa Master Plan amendments, which I don't know if you all know, this has to do with this whole area. It's Honouliuli from Mauka to Makai, yeah? And Kalaeloa overlaps several ili in this area. So what I want to bring to your attention is if you as a board, I don't know if you can address the hearing officer and CC all of us, but the fact that the HCDA and the developers, they want to develop basically, and they are not including linear errors. They know we've been showing up and they actually want to stop consultation of the Kapa'akai. So in addition to this Makaiva plan, in addition to the Kalaeloa Master Plan, if you all can somehow, maybe as a board, reach out to hearing officer, because we need a full evidentiary hearing. And so I have, lineal descendants here that have been identified. Mahalo, Tara Rojas.
No worries. Okay, so the chair recognizes that there are lineal descendants that wish to participate in a contested case hearing regarding the Kalaeloa Master Plan and potentially Makaiva Hills. What the chair is begging from you is actually offline, conversate what your requests are. We can put it on the future agenda. So if we can, so we recognize it, and please allow other people to speak at this time so that we can clarify any other issues on the motion before us this evening that we have to take. Okay. Mahalo, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Avapui Kalauli. So I am here to tell you a little bit of information on how this is a double-edged sword, okay? The landfill itself is used by majority developers. So majority of the landfill items that are going up there are sharps, meaning it's coming from the hospital. So if you have a medical condition, that's where they have to dump it, unfortunately, okay? In addition to that, the developers are using it as well. And the developers are developing on Kanaka land illegally. So I stand here with all of my cousins because I am a royal patent holder. My family has 3 royal patents. One is in Kukui Opai, and my cousin, you know her, she sings actually, lives on the property. And our family has not paid a lick of money to the state because I have stood in opposition for a lot of developments. And trust me, I get peppered for it. I love it. But I try to teach the Kanaka that in today's construct, we want our royal patent as recent as 1992. My tutu lady, who's still alive, we have our royal patent in Hana. And I'm also a Naiole, and Naioles get their royal patent in Molokai near the airport, 100 acres. So I stand here for the lineal heirs, and there is Kalauli land in Honouliuli, and that particular waterway is West Lock. So they have taken my family's property because we're Konohiki. That particular waterway connects through Mililani Waipio into the Waiahole ditch all the way across where our family just got our Waiahole property back. So I stand here to tell you that you have a double-edged sword because one, they're putting the landfill in a Campbell estate because all the Campbells are gone and the Campbells are Hawaiian, not missionary, okay? They're not gonna put them in Dole because the missionaries are still in our Pai'aina. And right now, First Hawaiian Bank is the executor of the Campbell Trust. So you getting attacked on Hawaiian Kanata lands by developers who developing your land, they literally double-edged swording you because we cannot put any of the landfill stuff anywhere else because it's medical waste, development waste. So the only way to stop it is for us to stand in our moku auhau, and we need to learn from my family how they did it. So if you're from Oahu, my uncle is Levi Kalauli Ka'ava, and he's a beast. Okay, he may have passed away in 2015, but that guy, he got so much mana. That's my papa's first cousin. He's in our royal patent. That's why he
Time to
stood
summarize, please.
so hard for the Hawaiian people. So I encourage you to please follow us because I am trying to show you how to switch this over. We don't need testifying anymore. When you're a lineal heir,
Enough.
they have an EIS, an environmental impact statement. That's how they take your property. You're a lineal heir, they're required to do a cultural survey based on the Statehood Act. You're not one consultant, you're the title holder. And I like read your TMK because I'm pretty sure your TMK get one fucking apana in them. So Hawaiians, don't let them tell you for testify. You are the holders. I know it's doing good.
Next.
In closing, mahalo ka'iolani konohiki, lineal descendant of Matayo Kekuanaoa, also a ho'oilina of the Ili'aina of Ho'ai'ai under Royal Patent 10474 upon 9. I oppose the landfill. It has no place here. These are our lands, and I'm sorry foreigners should not have any possession or any inclination to dictate or create any type of entity or agency that pretends to provide services for us. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui loa for the lineal descendants coming and sharing their mana'o with us regarding the aina, especially the cultural significance and the spiritual significance, which all of this pala and process doesn't necessarily acknowledge. So we create space. Next.
I'm Melody Perkaista. I'm a resident of Kapolei. And I just wanted to say that this news of a landfill came like a surprise to us, to the community. And it should not be a done deal because I think the community has a voice. And it looks like the process is going backwards right now. So of course I support the resolution of the board to oppose the landfill. There doesn't seem to be adequate due diligence done. You know, I thank the ENV for their presentation, but it doesn't sound like there's been adequate due diligence, scientific studies, whatever. There's plenty of data already from the Waimanalo Gulch that it's impacting people's health negatively. So we're going the backwards process, right? First, there's like some kind of dictate coming from the city that, or ENV, I don't know who gives them the authority to force this on the people of the west side of Oahu. And now we're having to oppose it. This looks like a backwards process. Of course, I support the resolution, but why is it coming as a surprise to us? And now we have to speak against it. I don't want this. I think that the burden of trash and refuse and all the health impacts are disproportionately spread across the island. It's not equal across the island, right? All the burden is on the west side. So that's just my comment. This is being done backwards, but the people have a voice and we have a power and we have to oppose it. My comment is, what more can we do to stop this? We have to be able to stop this. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next going to Auntie Kapua. Okay, thanks. Next going to Ulukoa Dahan Salon. And then you can come right. Okay, come before Ulukoa, no problem.
I'm a little bit anxious already. Aloha mai kako, aloha board chair, Kapolei, kako. My name is Nani Peterson, and I'm an advocate of pono and o'olea me ke aloha. Roger, I shared with you the incident that happened this morning, and I asked you to please find some solutions to test that water because that was nasty. And so I sent you the email, and I'm hoping I get a response on that. I'm one of the founders of Aina Maluhia Owai'anai, a DHHL reclamation of land for homestead living, food production, composting, and soil restoration, workforce development rooted in Aina stewardship, led by Kanaka Oiwi. This connects housing, food systems, and resource recovery into one integrated structure. I come from Waianae, where we have carried the impacts of Oahu's system from Kahe to Kiavaula, and then some. I'm here in clear opposition to any landfill or expansion in West Oahu, in Oahu, period. And in firm support of a Kanaka Oiwi-led system that restores balance between people and Aina. And I want to state clearly at the outset, West Oahu is not a sacrifice zone. It is a place where systems must be rebuilt with justice, balance, and long-term responsibility. Right now on Oahu, nearly 40 to 50% food and green waste exist. Approximately 25% is construction waste that could be recyclable. The remaining waste includes burned residuals that still produce ash requiring landfill disposal. And it's appalling to me that you are unable to Google other ideas from other countries such as Netherlands, Germany, Japan, that has found solutions.
Can you kindly summarize, please?
Sorry. This indicates a system that is still larger, linear, rather than circular. We thank the board for putting forth a resolution to oppose this landfill extension on the west side. But I asked the board also if they would kindly adopt a formal resolution supporting a West Oahu community composting pilot site with Kanaka Oiwi-led leadership and community partnership. Referring this matter to city and county, as the charter is policies are coming up for waste management. The Department of Environmental Services and DHHO for evaluation of pilot scale composting and diversion systems. This is not just about waste. This is about whether we continue a system of burial or build systems of restoration. Hale ika he kawa ke kanaka. The land is chief. We are here to serve and care for it. We, Aina Maluhia o Waianae, are ready to do the work. Ola ka Aina, ola ka ko. Mahalo.
Yo, mahalo. Chair recognizes the request, and if you so kindly email me the resolution so we can put it on the agenda for the future. Next.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this fast. But I got three new things. I have 2,000 things to say, but I got three new things, so I'll keep it to the three. And first, I'd like to recognize the descendants of Kekaunohi, Abner Paki, and the rest of the lineal descendants. I'd like to say, before my three comments, that I have been doing the Pa'akai analysis, and I have been gathering their comments, concerns, and all their testimony for the Pa'akai analysis. But HCDA has been difficult in accepting their testimonies. So let me put that out there. So maybe we can talk story about that, and it's not their work. Like, they don't have to do nothing. They just gotta accept what's being, like, they don't have to do nothing. I doing the work, right? We just honoring their voice as it should be. So that's that. Okay. So here's one thing. We talk about aquifers. Cannot put this above an aquifer. Guess what? Makaiva is above an aquifer. What the hell? As late as 1987, I believe, there still was a study about what was called the west side of the Pearl Harbor Aquifer. Yeah, it was considered the Pearl Harbor Aquifer. And yet, all of a sudden, you cannot put them here, cannot put them there because you're an aquifer. Get drinking water under there. And if you guys roll back the tape, all these years, I've been asking because I caught it. Get all of a sudden, they divide them. Kunia Aquifer. Whatever aquifer, this aquifer. How come I had one small slice called the Makaiva Aquifer? Some of you guys might remember this. I kept asking that. How come you're a Mak? Because I was kind of suspicious. Is that just reserved for Ko'olina or what? How come they get their own aquifer? Nobody could answer me why. What was it contaminated from Waimanalo Gulch? Like, why do they have their own aquifer? Oh no, they told me it's still drinkable. Oh, I don't know. But all of a sudden, oh, all of the other places get drinking water, but this one don't have. And you know what? I was gonna bring that up. Potable water. You know why they don't name that place? Because the only above ground stream in the whole Ahupua'a goes into Ka'iupala'ai, which is West Lock. They wanted people to know you can drink water over here. That is super, super significant. We had Lokapu'uone. We had Fish Pond, the style that's behind the sand dune, right where Aulani stay, right where the Monkey Pod restaurant stay. What do you think fed that? Waimanalo Gulch. So much so that you had villagers living there, right? That was on the census into the 20th century. On the census, people was living there. Doesn't that baffle you?
Can you kindly?
Okay, that's one thing. Drinkable water. Look it up. Don't tell me you didn't have drinking water. Had so much drinking water, right, that you had fish ponds, right? And you had that seeped out. And we actually doing that practice right now, the kalua vais, right? We actually growing in the kaluas, right? And we actually had an hydrologist coming from Maui, test the water, the highest level of E. coli, which brings me to my second point. Because currently, we're actually restoring the fishery, right? We have a traditional fishery called hani'o. What does hani'o mean? It's talking about the water channel that leads you back up to the mountain. I just talked about there's no above ground stream. What is that water channel? It's all subterranean. Why do you think Kahuna Maikli and everybody else called it the Hale Olimu? Because the water seep through all the limestone and feed the abundance of limu to the point that Ku'ula's son and grandson would name that fishery at Kalailua by our home, Hani'o. This is a traditional fishery. That's how abundant it was, right? So here we are with my brother right here, my nephew.
3 minutes or up about 30 minutes.
Hey, Makana, I stayed here this long to explain the abundance. Hey, Kioni, I stayed here this long, Kioni, to explain that we worried about the cleanliness of the water. Nobody's bothering to test the contamination of the marine resources affected by this. We touched upon it with the needles, but we gotta touch upon it and test the limu and test the coral and the small fish with my brother Dive. So that's the second thing. The third thing is the cultural sites. There's cultural sites at the bottom. There's cultural sites at the top.
Can someone yield their time to Ulukoa because we have to cut him off otherwise?
Hey, who had mentioned this already?
There you go. You good. Keep going.
Mentioned this already.
Keep going, Ulukoa. You got more time.
Makana.
We got to follow the
We
rules.
get.
Hey,
I
we have
know,
to
I know,
we have to be
Makana.
fair
I
to
know.
everybody, right?
I know.
Brother, just give you the minutes, so good.
Thank you, bro.
Follow more.
Nobody will mention these culture sites, and I've been bringing, roll back the tape. I'll be bringing this up. I want to ask Campbell Company if we could protect these sites up here. I did ask them. I've been asking them. You guys know I've been asking them to prevent this kind of thing from happening. So you're going to have all of this happen, and what? Oh, it's okay to make one little buffer zone, put one fence 10 feet away from the habitation site and the petroglyphs. And what about the Malcolm Mackay Trail that goes, the Alahele for Makaiva? So you put all those three things together, and you guys tell me how you're going to address that, Josh. And this is not personal, but I'd like you guys to address that. It's not fair. That's all.
Mahalo. This is the last call for public testimony before the board deliberates and takes a vote. Come on down.
Aloha, my name is Joshua Damon Pohakudu Alonso. That is my uncle, Dietrich Uluko, and that's my dad. Damon. Real quick, I grew up with Honokai Hale as well. My grandfather represented our community and helped, always fought for what was right. My uncle is doing the same thing. My dad's doing the same thing. Now I'm here. Listen, my son, my kids, they're all here. We live in Makakilo. Just, I'm not in support of what they're doing, but I'm here to bring something new. I'm listening and I went through your draft, and I think there's maybe a couple points that I would love for you to consider. You know, we're accepting that there was 3 solutions to this problem. We can't accept that. So first, I would love for you to consider putting in strong words to say, we don't accept 3 solutions, come back with a 4th. Come back with a real solution to the real problem. The real problem is actually trash. The problem, we don't need a Band-Aid solution because listen, Uncle Freitas was here, all my uncles, everybody is here. I'm gonna be here in 20 years doing the same thing because they keep on just giving us Band-Aid solutions. So please, in your verbiage, can you be a little stronger? Can you ask for a real solution, a real proposal? We have real smart people here. We have a professor for 25 years at the University of Hawaii. We have a really, really good team, supposedly. We cannot accept that this is the solution, that is just a landfill. When we have all these years to propagate and make this happen, why not put all those years, all the time, all the energy, all that money into a real solution? So that's all I'm asking is please make an adjustment, amend what you have written, put something in there that says we don't accept the 3 solutions. We want a 4th solution. We want a better solution. Work with your team to come up with one. Thank you.
Paulo, recommended amendment, come on down this last time. Anyone online? Moikea Hicks. Okay, not hearing.
Aloha, Makakilo.
Oh, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to keep it fast and just say that I stand with the board in rejecting the Makaiva Hills. And please listen to the calls of the lineal descendants of Honouli'uli Ahupua'a, Miriam Ke Kauanohi, Royal Patent 6971, Land Commission Award 11216. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo for your testimony. Going Auntie Kapua.
Mahalo for this opportunity. O wau kapua, ke li'i koa ka mai no ka aina ho'opula ka awawa waenai. The solution is everybody takes care of their own opala. It doesn't have to be here. The only reason that it's here is because they make it so. So the parameters that they have set predetermines its location. So what makes those parameters the right parameters? We need to change the parameters that each moku malama their own opala. That way the permits can come. It doesn't take as long. That's our solution. That's Hawaiian. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Any other testifiers? Chair recognizing none at this time. Testimony is closed. Any discussion from the board? Hearing no discussion from the board. All in favor of supporting the resolution, calling on the mayor, the city in Honolulu to keep his promise and no more landfills in West Oahu, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say a'ole. Any kanalua? Hearing none, the chair calls it unanimous. All the rest of the business will be deferred on the current agenda to the next available regular or special meeting. And the chair would just like to express his mahalo nui loa to both E and V for coming before us to share their particular proposal, and to the Kaya Ulu and Ohana that came this evening to share their eha, their ike, their mana'o, and come and share that the aina still lives. And that we look forward for a more sustainable future for Hawaii, and let's be the example of leadership of what that looks like with no more landfills. Mahalo nui loa. The chair calls the meeting adjourned.
Mahalo, Chair.
Mahalo.
Now with that, since we're still here, if you guys could kindly help us out to reset, if you guys can help pull the tables back, that would be great.